Hammond City Council public hearing agenda, August 23rd, 2022, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews,
Present.
Councilman DeViterio,
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilman Leon, Councilman Wells.
Public hearing item number 1.
An ordinance to extend the moratorium on the acceptance and processing of subdivision plats, site development plans, or zoning amendments for multifamily housing within the city of Hammond for an additional 90 days. Councilman DeViterio.
Is anybody here to speak about that?
Any questions from anyone on the council? Public hearing item number 2.
In accordance with the Office of Justice Programs grant requirements, an ordinance to update Rule X1-6, Information Security of the city's IT Policy and Procedure Manual to include a procedure for reporting an actual or imminent breach of personally identifiable information associated with an OJP-funded program or activity or a federal information system used or operated by the city. Charles Barsher.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As I explained last time, this is a housekeeping matter. The Office of Justice Programs, which awards funding to our police department, requires that we have this policy in place. The Hammond Police Department Manual, which is the first place we would look to introduce such a policy, actually refers to our IT policy. So we incorporated that required language into our IT policy. IT department and the city attorney were involved. And because this was originally passed by an ordinance in the council, we need an ordinance to update it.
Okay, and anyone from the public? Any questions from anyone on the council? Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hammond City Council regular session agenda, August 23rd, 2022, 5:33 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews,
Present.
Councilman DeViterio,
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilman Leon, Councilman Wells.
Our prayer. Most gracious, loving Father, we thank you on this evening. We give you glory, we give you honor, we give you praise and thanks on today. Father, thanking you for your Son who died upon the cross that we too would have access to the tree of life. Father God, we ask you to continue to protect us, continue to guide us, continue to order our steps right now, Father God. We thank you this evening that everything will be done decent, order, pleasing, and in your sight, where you will get all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise. I ask that you continue to protect us through this rain right now, Father God. Protect us from all danger. I ask that you continue to protect our police, our city fire department as they continue to protect and serve us. I ask that you continue to bless this council, continue to bless their families, continue to crown our heads with more wisdom and knowledge from on high. I ask that you continue to bless the city administration, continue to give them the tools and necessary things they need to where we will be able to come together and move our city forward, where you will get all praise, all glory, and all honor because it all belongs to you. We thank you for it all. In your daughter and son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge of allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. All right. Can I get an approval of the minutes of our August 3rd meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from August 3rd, 2022.
I second that motion. Okay.
They did it, okay.
Aye.
Councilman DeViterio,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
I need an approval of our minutes of our August 9th, 2022 meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes August 9th, 2022.
Second.
Councilman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Final option of adoption, final adoption of ordinance, excuse me. Number 1.
Final adoption of an ordinance to extend the moratorium on the acceptance and processing of subdivision plats, site development plans, or zoning amendments for multifamily housing within the city of Hammond for an additional 90 days. Councilman Divatario.
We went over this last meeting, and I made the motion to, propose to extend the moratorium for 90 days, and I make a motion to approve.
Anyone from the public on this matter? Any questions from anyone else on the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
No.
Councilman Leon.
No.
Councilman Wells.
Councilman Wells.
About.
It's the moratorium.
Yes. Final adoption, number 2.
Final adoption of an ordinance in accordance with Office of Justice Programs, grant requirements, and ordinance to update Rule X1-6, information security of the city's IT policy and procedure manual to include a procedure for reporting an actual or imminent breach of personally identifiable information associated with an OJP-funded program or activity or a federal information system used or operated by the city. Charles Bosher.
Any questions?
Any question from anyone in the public? Any other question from anyone on the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Resolution number 1.
A resolution to approve Holy Ghost, to hold its annual parish fair on October 21st, 22nd, 23rd of 2022 within the boundaries of Magnolia Street from West Colorado to Railroad Track and Northwest Railroad Avenue from West Colorado to Railroad Track. Holly Wooten.
I'm very excited about this fair. We hope you will all be in attendance. Great fundraiser for the community, great community events, lots of fun. Great entertainment. We have, yes, lots of things for the kids. We have after party on Friday night, the Chase Tyler Band on Saturday, and the Big Easy Boys on Sunday.
Gone to the fair every year of my life, practically, so it's a great asset to the community, and everyone has fun.
And we look forward to bringing it back.
Only thing I have to say, come up to the mic, that way everybody can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, you good now. You said everything you wanted to say. And you don't have to be nervous. That's what they should have told you. You don't have to be nervous. Just relax. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else from the public on this resolution? Any other questions from anyone on the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Resolution number 2.
A resolution authorizing Holy Ghost Parish Fair Committee to sell alcohol on Friday, October 21st, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday, October 22nd, 2022, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, October 23rd, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. within the boundaries set.
As previously stated, it's a great fundraiser and a wonderful event.
Is there someone checking IDs?
Yes, absolutely.
Any questions from anyone else in the public? Any other additional questions from anyone from the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon? Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Resolution number 3.
A resolution authorizing Holy Ghost Parish Fair Committee to obtain a waiver of the open container law for the following dates and times: Friday, October 21st, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday, October 2022, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, October 23rd, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. within the boundaries set.
Anyone have any questions from the public on this matter? If not, pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Good job.
Thank you. All right. Resolution number 4.
A resolution to authorize the Hammond Regional Arts Center to sell and serve alcohol on Friday, October 14th, 2022, from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. for the Brews Arts Festival within the boundaries of Morrison Alley Park between Cypress and Cherry Streets, and the Hammond Regional Arts Center located at 217 East Thomas Street, Hammond, Louisiana, 70401. Jordan Kenning.
Hello.
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 So this waiver request is in regards to our Brews Arts Festival. I believe we're coming on our double-digit years pretty soon, but this is one of our 3 major fundraisers. And essentially this money is just going to go back into the community because our mission is to instill arts and the culture back into our public. So we are expecting close to 400 guests. Part of that closure on Cypress includes, we're going to call it a food truck festival for lack of a better term, because we're going to have about 3 to 4 food vendors there selling to the participants in the Brews Arts Festival. And part of that is also, part of that noise ordinance waiver request is for Jay Reese and the Incubators. They're a local band, so it should bring out a lot of local and somewhat out-of-town visitors to Hammond for that as well.
Anyone from the public have a question on that? Any question from anyone on the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Resolution number 5.
A resolution to authorize the Hammond Regional Arts Center to obtain a waiver of the open container law on Friday, October 14th, 2022, from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. for the Brews Arts Festival within the boundaries of Morrison Alley Park between Cypress and Cherry Streets, and the Hammond Regional Arts Center located at 217 East Thomas Street, Hammond, Louisiana, 70401. Jordan?
Yes, ma'am. That open container law applies to that Morrison Alley parking lot area. We will have staff there monitoring the passage of our patrons to keep them in that area. They won't be leaving that parking lot.
Great.
In addition to that other question you had about someone checking IDs, that's part of the check-in process with our
Right.
ticket holders, so.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that.
no problem.
Anyone else from the public? If not, any other questions from anyone on the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Sec-
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon? Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Resolution number 6.
A resolution to transfer $45,000 from water and sewer available funds 616-36000-560330 to a new project for new chlorine injector pumps at the South Treatment Plant. Lacey Landrum.
This is an emergency repair that we are asking the council to go ahead and transfer the funds over. This is just by resolution rather than by ordinance because they're already within the same fund, which is dedicated to water and sewer improvements throughout our community. We are asking for $45,000. The quote total, the lowest quote that we have is $42,052.14. We're asking for $45,000 just in case there's some other tie-in costs associated with that. We do believe that these pumps are about 6 weeks out, so the sooner we can get them rolling, the better.
Any questions from anyone in the public? Any questions from anyone on the council?
Yeah, explain that to me, please. The injection pump.
This puts chlorine back into the system over at the treatment plant as part of the overall treatment process.
So the pump they have now, what, is gone out or what? Explain it to me.
Yes, all the pumps are broken, and so they're having to get new pumps to be able to process fully.
How long the
The
pump's been
treatment.
broken?
I think just like a week or two. I mean, this is an emergency repair.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
we
don't know
got,
if Guy's here or not. Could give us an update. I just remember when they called me and they got the quote. This quote is dated on the 15th, and I know they were getting quotes like almost directly afterwards.
okay, because what we've been having over on Phoenix Square, we've been smelling a lot of sewer in that area.
You mean at the lift station?
The lift that's on Phoenix Square, yes,
That's correct.
yes.
Well, I didn't know that one had been broken, but
No, I'm not, I can't tell you it's been broken. I'm just telling you what we've been smelling over there.
oh, you've been smelling.
Yeah, they've been complaining about it.
Okay. Well, we can look into that.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon? Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Thank you, Lacey. Resolution number 7.
A resolution to authorize the purchase of 13 mobile radios for the 2023 Tahoes from Two-Way Communications. Total cost, $31,840.64. State contract 44000250021. Chief Bergeron.
This is 13 radios that we're ordering. If you remember, over the last couple of years, we've continued to order vehicles. We have yet to receive any of the vehicles due to supply and demand. This is yet another supply issue. We're going to go ahead and get the order in to hopefully, when we get the 13 vehicles, we'll have the radios in at the same time in order to go ahead and outfit our vehicles the way we need to. I believe there was 16 to 17 total vehicles that's been ordered over the last 2 years that we haven't gotten, which is why we're only ordering 13, because GMC stepped up and said, we're cutting everybody's numbers down. So they've actually sent us a thing and said that they cannot provide for the current order in which we have, which is why we're only requesting 13 radios now, which will lead us into number 9 whenever we get to that point.
Any questions from anyone from the public on this matter? Any questions from anyone on the council? Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon? Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 7.
8.
I'm sorry, 8.
A resolution to authorize the purchase of computer-aided dispatch mobile computing, law enforcement records management system, and 5-year annual support from Cologic LLC in the total amount of $732,175. Chief Bergeron.
As I've mentioned in previous meetings and interactions with you all, we've been interested in potentially leaving the current system in which we have, based on some of the advancements with technology that we plan on going with. It's kind of along the lines of when we went with Axon with the cloud storage, and one of the main reasons we're going with, or would like to go with, this company with Cologic. There's many other advantages that we believe the Cologic will offer our department, which is a better process and a better reporting system for us moving forward as an agency that is continuing to grow.
Who do we use right now?
PTS is the current reporting system.
Does Marcus have anything to do with?
Yes, Marcus has been involved in the conversation since we've started and interested in looking at other agencies or other programs. He has been involved in it.
Marcus, would you like to weigh in on this?
And to that, I have just a question with the bid, the proposals, right? They're not really bids, but, you know, this one's not the cheapest, and what's the benefit, and why did y'all choose this one?
Well, there's several reasons why we chose. When it comes to the IT stuff, I'd rather let Marcus talk about that because I'll end up saying something that isn't actually 100% on the IT stuff. There's several reasons that we've chosen to go with Cologic, and I'll tell you, we've looked at multiple agencies or multiple software programs. You know, one of the reasons that we're looking at going with Cologic is we just believe the cloud-based system is going to be a better way for us to go. Marcus having to house it on servers, us having issues and so on and so forth with that is definitely problematic. Some of the other things that this program does is it keeps an automatic track for, and I'll just give you an example, we do a vehicle stop, we run a gun that's in that vehicle, with the click of a button, it'll automatically tell us how many times that gun has been run in the past. It keeps a better option, I think, for us, in which we have. It has geofencing for crime reports, which we believe would be easier to facilitate, providing crime stats to the council as well as the public when they need it. But a lot of it comes down to the cloud-based system. And as we learned during Axon, when you go from, I can't remember, what was the last body cams we had? Whatever the last body cams we had, and it was on the server, we kept running into issues. Digital Ally, I'm sorry. You know, a lot of what we're doing now is moving forward and trying to get to the cloud-based system.
Is there anybody from either company here, like the one that we have now and the new one that, the one you're proposing, the Cologic?
No, Cologic is not here. I didn't ask them to come. I did see some guys from PTS that are here.
And PTS is the company we have right now. Currently, that was the lowest bid?
Yes.
Okay.
So could PSI, could they come up and tell us what's the difference between what we're talking about now, the difference in y'all company, please?
Thank you so much for having us today. There's always a matter of opinion is what's better.
Could you give us your name? Sir, could you give us your name?
Scott Fuquay with PTS. This is Jamie Pay.
I'm Jamie Pay. I'm the VP of Operations for PTS Solutions.
So, you know, there's definitely always, it's a matter of opinion of what's better for you. So I certainly respect the chief's decision on anything that he makes. But we are here because we do care. You know, it's our company, and we just want to make sure that that if there's anything we can do or that we're not doing that we should do, that we're aware of that, and maybe we can fix that if there is something that is a problem. So
Well,
with that being said, go ahead, I'm sorry, sir.
No, I was just, I mean, because I see y'all's at, y'all's bid is at 250, and, the range is 732, so, well, a range of 1.3 mil, so, there's a big difference, and it'd be nice to know what's that big difference in price? I mean, are they, that much, they have that many tools to offer that y'all don't, or?
Well, the RFP didn't state that a cloud-based solution. We asked a question during the RFP process, would the city, would it prefer a cloud-based solution or a client-server-based solution, and the answer we got, I have it here.
Yeah, talking to Mike, sir.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
The response we got when we asked the question was that the city was going to provide the servers and the workstations. So we quoted a on-site solution, which we have now. So
So you already have
the
the
RFP
equipment.
didn't state that the preference was a cloud-based solution.
So y'all offer cloud-based solutions?
For our CAD, mobile, and RMS, we can. And there was no, we provide a jail solution as well for the jail because y'all house inmates. There was no jail package.
So would that cost $500,000 more to get a cloud-based?
For us, it wouldn't.
That's what I'm asking.
What the cost is, we included the cost for the transition to our jail program is in data migration as well. We've got a new solution that's web-based. So that's, our quote is to migrate to that new product. That's where the $75,000 comes from. Our yearly cost is $35,000, after the migration. So we're actually lowering the cost per year after the migration takes place. So it would be, if you look at it over, say, a 10-year period, it's going to be, it's 35, it's going to be probably 4 times less expensive than the solution that was, on the agenda today.
Andre, do we have any issues with giving a different RFP out for different companies? Did you say the RFP didn't match? Is that what you?
It did not state that a cloud-based solution. When we asked the question, what was preferred, the response we got back from the city was that the city was going to provide the servers and the workstations. Well, if the city's providing the servers and the workstation, we inferred that being the city wouldn't provide servers for a hosted cloud-based solution by another, So we inferred that it was a on-premise like we had currently. And that's how we responded to the RFP.
How long y'all been servicing the city of Hammond?
Since 1999.
Okay.
Okay, they got Ms. Jana back there. I think she wanted to say something.
In reference to this question that he proposed, it was actually sent in by Ms. LaWanna Thompson.
Yep.
And she asked in reference to the hardware system and software system on section page 3, can you please clarify the city wishes the vendor to propose regarding hardware? The answer was the city is proposing that the vendor provides a cloud-based system for full operation of their application. It's in writing. Copy the email right here. I can pass it out to every single one.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you. Me.
We do offer a cloud-based solution anyway, so either way, at the same price, we do have a cloud-based solution. So whether the RFP stated that or not, which we do have on our file, and I saw the email as well, but it's kind of irrelevant. We offer the same solution as well. Is there an item maybe that we don't offer that Collogic or Motorola or whoever else does? Certainly, but there may be something that we offer that they don't. And again, it does come down to a matter of what do you want and what's it worth to you and what's the value in that. So to answer your question directly, sir, is without, in most cases, okay, now I don't, I've been doing this a long time. In my opinion, an extensive RFP is a waste of everyone's time and effort, quite frankly, because most of the time agencies know what they want to go with before they ever do an RFP. And so, am I saying that I think you should rebid this and do an extensive RFP. If you really want to get the answer to your question, then that's the only way to. And you have a list of specifications. Do you do this? Do you do that? How do you do this? How do you do that? And have, like most of these RFPs that we hate to respond to that are, over 1,000-page document to make sure you get everything that you need in the software package that you're asking for. So that's the only way that we can accurately answer your question. Am I answering that right? So I'm sorry.
Well, one thing, when you step back and you look at this application, yes, we've been with PTS for a long time. Okay, and he's stating correct when he states about a RFP. But for breaking it down in layman's terms, if you go to a dealership to buy a vehicle and they tell you, okay, this is what you want in that vehicle, but we're throwing leather seats in it, this in it, and this in it, and this in it, and it benefits all of these other things. But the others didn't come back like that. So really the RFP was not written out to say, this is the specifics and this is what we're sticking to. Some of the other companies, they went beyond. I mean, Axon was probably one of the highest, and Axon offered so much more, but it would be things that we're not ready for. It's things that we're not looking at right now. So, I mean, I totally agree with what they're saying. And right now, from what the chief gave me to evaluate and to look at, looking at the documentation that he gave me, you can't stop a company saying, we want to give this and add more and this and this. I mean.
Because it is a request for proposal. It's a proposal. It is not a low bid.
Well, not only that, but PTS met what the RFP had, along with the other company also, but the other company gave a more extensive stuff. So at that point, it's kind of like, okay, if I'm getting this for this and we can utilize it with this, I mean, it can go several ways, but from the information that I received and the information that I evaluated, that's where we stand. So it's kind of, I can understand where Scott's coming from, but at the same time, from what I evaluated, this is what that company put forth, and I think that's why the chief made his decision. I mean, he can only speak on that.
Marcus, how you doing? I want to ask you a question. Look, during the virus, and we know how everything was during the virus, did these guys, because I know you had told me you had put in a lot of time, did these guys work with you during the virus, trying to get everything back up, or what?
So what happened during the virus, we received a call the night that we were actually hit. And the call came from dispatch, and dispatch advised that they were having an issue with PTS. So Clint, who's my coordinator, came up, he checked everything out, and he started looking at the stuff, and the gentleman he was on the phone with was like, something's not right, and he was trying to figure out what was going on. I received a phone call, hey, something's not right, you need to come up here and set eyes on this. So en route here, once I arrived, the gentleman that was on the 24-hour tech line for PTS stated that files look like they're being overwritten. Well, while they were looking at that, I started looking at everything else, looking at our whole environment. At that point, when I started to see that it was across our environment, I started shutting things down immediately. So as we shut things down, all of the data retrieval, all of the bringing things back up, that was all the city of Hammond. I sat here, I put in days bringing that back up. And if I recall, we probably only lost one file from PTS, but in the state of PTS saying this is what started, this is what's happening, and them noticing it and them assisting Clint with PTS initially before we even knew what the call was, yes, they were on the phone with us with that. But as far as retrieval, building everything back, getting the city back to standing on its own and where we are now, that was all in-house.
Okay, so did they send you a bill for that?
I don't remember seeing a bill for it. That bill did not come to my department, so we did not pay anything for that, but that is part of our contract service for that support. And like I said, it was nothing done outside of that support contract that would have made them send us an extra bill to say that this or that was done.
Marcus,
right.
you were involved in reviewing all of these proposals, correct?
The proposals that I reviewed were the CoLogic proposal. The other proposals that came in, the chief evaluated those because he knows what he's looking for and what he spoke with these individuals and what he wanted for his department. I didn't get an opportunity to review PTS's. I didn't get an opportunity to review anybody else's. But what I did do was when he reviewed the one for CoLogic, I went through, I did apples to apples and made sure that everything would work within our environment, work with the new things that we added to these units, the new laptops, the new cradle points and internet, Axon cameras, everything, make sure everything will play fair. And after that, that was pretty much, I gave my technical aspect of the whole project. As far as the financial part of it and all of that stuff, that's the chief, his department, that's what he looks at, but at the same time, he's making a better judgment for what his people need and where they're trying to go.
One more question, Marcus, please. So, PTS, for as all what's going on, going towards the future, so will they system work also?
When you say going towards the future?
Going into the future, okay? You just say Cologic?
Cologic.
Cologic,
Yes, sir.
okay? You just said they system is going into the future on what the chief's trying to do, right?
Right.
Okay, what about PTS?
Okay, as Mr. Scott stated just a second ago, he stated that all of the things that they have right now and the things that they will have and where they're going. Some things they may not have that Cologic has now, but he also stated that with the different vendors carry different aspects. As I stated earlier, this company stated something that the chief apparently likes and wants to implement, so apparently PTS does not have that. So I can't speak on his behalf. I can speak from a technical aspect, not saying that PTS is not going to take it to another level. They're coming out with a new platinum version like right now, but does it offer what Cologic has now? Apparently it doesn't, because the chief made this decision for a reason.
So I guess the question is if PTS can do the same as Cologic for a cheaper price, do we go with the more expensive one or do we go with PTS? So that's, I guess, the question right there, if they can or cannot.
PTS cannot do the same in which Cologic is offering us as of right now. The decision that we came to with Cologic, it wasn't, I appreciate Marcus giving me all the credit, but basically what I did was I took a committee of officers and my administrative staff, and they met with other companies that were coming in. Cologic, E4 set up a meeting, they met with us also, and they went through some of the things in which they can offer. And I mean, I hate to get into it, but when I became the chief 3.5 years ago, I had problems with PTS and their functioning system. They have promised us a platinum version that has never come to fruition. As of a month and a half ago, I was at a chief's conference, so maybe 2 months ago now, in which Scott and I had a conversation prior to that, actually. And they can't promise us that even the platinum system is going to be 100% up and going in any time frame. His exact words to me were, I can't promise you a year, I can't promise you a year and a half, I can't promise you a time frame. Unfortunately, PTS does not fit the needs of the Hammond Police Department at this time. Through the officers that sat through looking at different things and looking at different programs, the program that the officers felt comfortable with and wanted to go with was Cologic.
So what's the feature that Cologic has that PTS doesn't have?
Well, they have a thing called ThinkStream, which is built in within their system, where you can run license plates within their system and it automatically inputs in. I think years ago, sheriff's office may even have had ThinkStream, but right now, give an example, if somebody wants to run a plate, and Mark might have to better explain it, but they run it in mobile, they'd have to copy, paste it, move it over. It's all one integrated system. They can run a license plate, it automatically can input it into their file number. There's multiple other things. There's a notification system within ours, within Cologic, to where if, right now my supervisors, if there's, say, a major call, they have to make a phone call or get dispatched to notify administrative staff. Cologic has a setup to where the notifications can become as soon as a code is entered into the program. So dispatch enters in certain code, it's lined up, and it automatically sends it. There's a whole lot of features that go along with Cologic that we just currently don't have access to. One of the features that's extremely impressive is they have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week support for our officers. And it's not just support for if a system goes down, it's support for any kind of LIBOR's compliant. I know we've heard a lot about UCR stats and all over the last whatever. The state of Louisiana has changed to LIBOR's and the federal government to NIBOR's, which is the new crime reporting. This program actually has a way, and it's set up, and it's a little more clear on how officers can get through and actually be compliant with our LIBOR's. And our LIBOR's compliance, and Charles can tell you, is an absolute necessity for our grant funding and all that we get, say, for our bulletproof vest and for any grants that we get through law enforcement and through the federal allocations. So there are many items within this program that we currently don't have from PTS, and I don't believe PTS currently offers it. As I said, just recently, the conversation was they couldn't even give us a time frame and when that would happen before I started really soliciting and looking around for different options.
So is there any way that you can invite Collagic to a council meeting where they can sit there like PTS speaking and talking about what they offer?
Yeah, we definitely can invite them to come along and sit there and do it. I would tell you that I've had multiple officers from different ranks, administrative staff, that go through it. Those are the guys that have to use it and the ladies that have to use the system. They're the ones that have to use the system every day and go through and do the reports, and this is coming from their recommendation. It's not necessarily the chief saying, hey, I want this system, because it's what the officers are saying are the better program for them to move forward and making sure that their reports are done correctly and our library's compliance and all the things that we need.
Excuse me, PTS, was it Scott? Scott, you had something to say?
Yes, in response to NIBRs and LIBRs, and I'm sure you're probably not familiar with those terms, that's Louisiana Incident-Based Reporting System, which every agency has to report to be able to get your JAG grant funding and that type of thing. If you don't report to it, then you don't get it. PTS has trained on our dime that we did, and this is not in our contract, we did not charge the city of Hammond for in any way or form to send one of our people to set up all of your codes, which are, there are how many codes, Jamie? Roughly 1,000? I don't know, several hundred statute codes that we, PTS, not Hammond PD, not anyone from Hammond PD, to make this system LIBR's compliant, which is not outside the scope of PTS. We offer the tool. It's the department's responsibility to make sure that our codes match up to what LIBR's wants to see. We did that on our nickel. We trained three different systems administrators on our nickel because they didn't stay here for whatever reason, turnover. So I'm all about it. Hey, if you got something that looks better and all that, that's fine. But where I do take it, and I'll just say personally, is that we didn't do our job, and we did our job, and we've done our job, and we've done our job since 1999. And for LIBR's compliancy to be brought, is there a better product? Is there a shinier one? Yes, Ford has the little code on the side of their truck, and that's an excellent feature. PTS may not have the code on the side of the vehicle. Is that worth $500,000 to you? Hey, if it is, then spend it. But at the end of the day, what I want to make sure is that on record, that PTS did everything above and beyond what they should do as a vendor to the city of Hammond, that make sure that we did what we were supposed to do and that that's on record. If you choose to go a different route, that's certainly okay. But what I do want to make sure is that we offer 24/7 support, have since 1999. So I don't know the level of support is any better with Collagic. Maybe it is. And I can't tell you anything about any other company besides PTS, but what PTS has done. And when you call PTS, if you call them right now after hours, you're not going to get a recording that says press 1, press 5, press 3. You're going to get a live voice that says, this is such and such with PTS. How can I help you today? And we've had that for years, and we still have that. So just, if you have any questions, I'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was just, my concern was just that, y'all been here since 1999, servicing the police department, and, the difference was about $500,000. So I don't know if we're comparing apples to apples, orange and orange, because I'm not in that department, but I'm just looking at the numbers. And so as a city councilman, just looking to see and, making sure that, y'all may not offer everything to this company. Is it worth another $500,000 or not, So that was, I guess, my question, was just making sure that, if y'all can't service, the police department growing or advancing like this other company can, but it's $500,000 difference. So that's why I just wanted to make sure that
Sorry, one more thing. I mean, we've been doing this for 30 some odd years. We still have customer tangible repair still on loose. I mean, there's tons of agencies in Louisiana that still use our software, and so we don't plan on going anywhere. We're making the product better every day, so, and that didn't include also interfaces that we do. We did an interface, a couple of interfaces, I don't know what they were exactly, but what we're trying to get at is that, again, if you choose another product, I get it. I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure that PTS did their part. And if you choose to go another route, that's certainly understandable.
Let me ask you something. What brought you here tonight? What brought you here tonight? What brought you?
I saw the agenda on the city council on the website, and we decided, I called him yesterday, and we decided to come.
That's good. I wish more people would do that because,
We
see,
knew the RFP was out, and I've been checking it for the website. I knew the agenda would be out, and it'd be coming up at some point, so I've been checking on Mondays for the last, 3 weeks. So, but one thing to read.
We're having this conversation, and with all due respect, we're having this conversation with one vendor and not with any other vendor, and not with the vendor that the chief is proposing, and I think that's a little inappropriate myself, but that's just my opinion.
but didn't you, excuse me 1 minute, but didn't you hear me say, can we get the other vendor here? And that's why I said that, because you know what?
But we haven't, and we keep on moving. We keep spending time and we keep moving through. If you want the other vendor here, let's end this and get the other vendor here. And I'd also like to hear from Jana again. We put an RFP out. What's the process here? I mean, I don't want to get sued.
Well, I will say this, though. I mean, to me, I'm glad y'all took it on y'all's own to come here. I mean, it seems like you've been here 99, y'all actually care. So I look at it as somebody actually cares to come to the meeting and show up and say something. I mean, so that's how I look at it as, and I see somebody that's being proposed for $700,000 isn't even in the meeting here. And I mean,
We didn't ask Google to come.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying.
Every RFP we do, we don't have people that come here.
Not a lot of times. Sometimes they are. The companies care. I mean, I know if I own a business, and I'm trying to get business with somebody else, I'm going to show up and I'm going to show up and be there. I mean, but that's it. That's no rule. But I mean.
Yeah, but I don't think it's nothing that we're gonna argue about, and it's nothing that's Ray's saying about. Yeah. Hold up, Chief. Let me talk. But right now, and this is what I look at, and I heard, I think Scott, the gentleman name, I think I heard him say $500,000, $500,000. That's what everybody keeps saying. But I did the math. I come up with $482,000. And well, we have to realize as a city councilman that we dealing with the taxpayers' money. And right now, I'm going to say it on the record, that we're in election time. So we just can't let nobody come up here and throw us numbers, and we sit here and vote on it. We're dealing with the taxpayers' money, so we still have to be a good steward over the money.
You're exactly right, and we have to be a good steward as to what we're purchasing too. And this is, and I'll be the first to admit, this is over my knowledge base. The information and technology is over my knowledge base. So I don't know what we're purchasing or what we're not purchasing. I'll leave that to people who put the RFP out and people who analyzed the RFP.
Well, one of the best things you said, 1 minute, Marcus, one of the best things you said is markers around. So I like by you saying that, because I see now we're getting into a lot of technology, but yet I don't hear nobody saying markers come up. And it's the same thing we did with HR, if you can recall. Here, HR want to bring in a whole lot, and markers wasn't even involved in it. So that's my biggest thing when we're dealing with IT, were markers.
Before we start, we're sitting here and we're talking at what you said, $400 and something thousand, right? All right, so that $400 and something thousand, let's go back to the beginning of this year, end of last year. We made a purchase on a lot of equipment. I came to you guys and asked because we did a refresh for our core environment for the server room for the city of Hammond, correct? All right, in that change, we spent what? We spent over 150 something thousand or somewhere around there. We spent a good bit of money. All right, so right now what you're looking at, CoLogic actually has it where their stuff is hosted, which means it's cloud-based. So it runs on their equipment. That's equipment that the city is not purchasing. We do not purchase that. So anytime any upgrades happen, they purchase it. We don't purchase it. That's what we're paying our annual cost for. So when you start looking at the price differences, the reason that the prices are so different is because that's on them. They are paying for that equipment. So let's switch it back around. Let's say if we did it and we hosted it here. So in 5 years and we had to refresh and buy new stuff, that cost is going to fall on us. So then that's going to put us coming to the council to say, hey, I need $250,000 or I need $300,000 because I have to, expand on this equipment for this reason. So the reason there's a drastic price difference is because a lot of this stuff is being housed by them. All of those services are done in their data rooms, so it's not being done here. So with that being said, all we're doing is supplying a network connection to reach them. So that's what makes the drastic change in the cost, where Scott mentioned earlier that if he knew that it had to be a cloud-based system, their price would have changed also. So that's where it brings the difference in your pricing. So before we start looking at saying, oh, this price is way too much and this is this, I want to break that down so you understand why that price is what it is. We're not paying for the equipment. We're not paying for any of the connections. We're not paying anybody to maintain that on their watch. They're doing all of that. So if it goes down, it's their responsibility to get it back up. It's the city of Hammond's responsibility to make sure that everybody here can connect back to it. So with that being said, that's where your big price difference comes in, because the equipment isn't cheap. And our numbers show when we did our refresh of our server room, if you go back and look at the agenda and look at those prices, you'll see what kind of numbers we're spending.
Yeah, and so everybody's getting aggressive over here, but these are just questions. Yeah, these are just questions. Whenever you're spending $482,000 more from that I would like to just know as just, it's a pretty big decision. Just want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples and oranges, and that we're not talking about $10,000 or 20 or 100. So there's nothing here but me just asking questions on the difference when I see it that much, and if this company can offer that same service that CoreLogic can or not, and iCloud base, can they do it iCloud base, or are they not aware?
Well, and that's the one thing we just jumped over, guys. 3.5 years ago, I started hearing about the Platinum system, and I'm not saying that Scott and Jamie and them aren't working hard to try to get to that point. They are not at the stage in which we need to be right now. They are trying hard, they're working hard, but today they cannot offer us what other companies can. One of the other companies that bid was OmniGo. They're not even a recognized LIBOR certification in the state of Louisiana. Unfortunately, they just cannot offer us that. Scott was honest with me when he and I had the conversation, and he said, we can't. We can't do it, and we can't give you a time, or we can't promise you a time. It's something that has been pushed down the road. They've had issues with their developers or whoever they had with, but you're not comparing apples to apples in this case. You're comparing a system that's up and ready to go and have us moving forward. Just like when we went from the Digital Ally body cameras to Axon, there was a huge price increase on that. We weren't comparing apples to apples. It's apples to oranges in where this company is and where we believe they're at. Councilman Wells, I will tell you that Marcus is involved in my IT things, because when it comes to that, I'm not overly into that. He's the one that has to worry about the environments and how everything matches up and all that when it comes to that. So Marcus is brought in on those decisions and looks at all the comparisons and looks at the cost of servers and everything else that goes along with it. So he has been involved in it on our end. On the police officer end, like I said, we had committees formed, we had officers informed. I think it was a total of 15 or 20 different officers who have sat through. They're obviously familiar with PTS, and I think PTS did a good job for what they are and where they're at, but it's just time to move forward into a better and a more progressive system.
And this comes out of the millage, or is this
Yes.
the budget, or
Millage.
Millage, okay.
And I noticed that the amount is over 5 years. Let's make sure we all realize that.
Right.
And then also, is it within budget? It comes from your budget, but
Yes.
is it within budget?
It is within.
You won't ask us for money.
I will not
to
be
fund
coming
this.
back to ask for money to fund this.
And you feel that this $500,000 more in your budget is worth spending on this particular?
It's $500,000 over 5 years, or 400 and whatever
Yeah.
Councilman Wells said. The increase, it's $136,000 annual. Do we have to pay for data migration? That's something Marcus had to give me a crash course in. And of course, we do have to pay for some data migration in order to come over. And those, can be a little costly in the beginning, which is why your year one is a little bit higher than the other years. But Realistically, I don't know exactly what we're paying offhand. I just drew an absolute blank what we're currently paying for PTS. Maybe it's, some reason I'm thinking close to 50,000 currently now.
So the question to you is it worth it?
Absolutely, it's worth it to us to be able to move forward. If PTS could offer us a program and a system today that would bring us forward, then I would be okay with that. I've talked to them before I went to it, and they can't offer that. We're not comparing apples to apples, it's apples to oranges, and it's time for Hammond Police Department to move forward. I've enjoyed the relationship with these guys, I get along great with them, but it's just the time. 3.5 years of being told we're going to be able to get into this type of system, and we're going to go into the platinum system, and it just hasn't happened. So we're asking as a department to go ahead and move forward and to vote on this, and let's not kick the can down the road. Let's get the programs that we need to get in and understand that as we move forward, everything is a lot more expensive than what it is. The cloud-based scenarios are more expensive, and it's just part of moving forward.
PTS, you have anything else to say on any of this?
Marcus, you're okay with this?
I'm fine.
Is anyone else from the public have a?
As far as the evaluation, like I stated earlier, and we'll say this for the record, I evaluated what the chief felt that he would be the best fit for that department, for his department. After evaluating it, looking at it, making sure that everything works with all of the changes that we made within our infrastructure for the city of Hammond, everything met what we needed. If we saw any changes, we made sure we made him aware of it. He spoke with CoLogic, got everything lined up like he needed for his department, and that brings us here today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Marcus.
Anyone else from the public? Any other question from anyone on the council? Pleasure to council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon,
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Resolution number 9.
A resolution to authorize the purchase of 4 2023 F-150 crew cab trucks for the police department from Bill Hood Ford, cost $157,944. State contract 4400023793. Chief Bergeron.
So as I mentioned earlier, GMC cut the number of cars that we're able to get, as well as almost every other department in the state of Louisiana. We appreciate y'all adding 4 people to us, and by the way, our applicants are rolling in pretty good right now, and we're hoping to be able to fill those spots.
Good.
Unfortunately, with filling spots, we have to be able to get vehicles, and we're currently not sure when even the 13 that they have approved us for through GMC is going to come in. We're interested in purchasing these 4 trucks because we do have a need for them. The 4 trucks are not going to be police package trucks, so the price is a little bit less, and they're going to be utilized by our fleet division, which are often moving tires, light bars, and different stuff like that, from the city barn back to the fleet yard and so on and so forth, as well as our training division, which is always taking things to the range and targets and just always doing work out there. So the goal is to be able to take these units that we purchase and hope that we get them within a reasonable amount of time, and we implement it into those divisions, and then we can actually get the patrol units or the Tahoe police package units then put into the patrol division to be able to help us with our fleet.
Are you saying that police patrol units are now used to move all those things?
Correct.
So that if you got trucks, you could
Well,
put them on the road?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily police patrol units, but police package vehicles. So they may not be decked out like a patrol unit, but it is something that we can go ahead and remove from that division and put the stripes on them, do all that needs to be done to make it a patrol-type vehicle.
Okay.
But the trucks would not be a patrol truck. They would be utilized for divisions that, going back and forth to the range for our vehicle maintenance division, our fleet division. They're always, we purchase tires and we have to have them out at the fleet yard because it's state contract and they have to bring them to the tire place, stuff like that. So instead of throwing them in the back of a Tahoe, we'll have pickup trucks to be able to do so.
Why do you need 4?
Because that would help us get 4 units back in patrol. And then that's the number in which was cut from the GMC tie.
Oh, okay.
Basically, I'm just trying to replace the ones that they cut us. And rather than saying, okay, well, we might just wait and hope to order some more patrol units, myself and my administrative staff sat around and said, how can we reinvent the wheel a little bit? You know, we have to try to get some vehicles on the road. And we said, rather than having a police package vehicle sitting at a fleet yard, we could actually get that into a patrol position, which is why we chose to go with, the truck, because number one, that's the only thing open on state contract. So that's what we're trying to do.
Anyone from the public have a question on this matter? Anyone else from the council? Not, pleasure of the council.
Make a
To approve.
second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Abstain.
Resolution number 10.
A resolution to authorize the purchase of a sewer cleaning combination truck from Covington Sales and Services for the Street Department, RFP 23-18. Total cost $464,984. Robert Williams.
Good evening.
Robert Williams, 1700 and a half Moon Avenue.
Could you talk in the mic, please?
1700 and a half Moon Avenue, Robert Williams. It's been approved. I'm sorry, it's been, the money's been allocated for that. Just waiting for it to get approval.
Do we currently have one? Or is this-
The water department have one. They actually have two. One's always in the shop and the other one, they use it a lot.
Yeah, this was that, we discussed it a while back, that we budgeted for, that you were getting, y'all finally found one to purchase, I guess.
That's right.
Is this within budget?
Yes.
So look, you stay on Mooney Avenue, I stay on Mooney Avenue. We got an issue right now on Mooney Avenue that we got covers that stopped up. So will this truck be able to unstop the covers, or what do we have to do?
As long as there's not roots in the pipes, yes. But where your problem at? If you're talking about before Mississippi Street, on the east side of the street, they're gonna replace all of those.
Yeah, okay, they're gonna replace them. But what I'm dealing with right now, I called the after-hour number today. And Miss Ann, she's in here right now. She's getting water in her house because 3 houses from her house is clogged up. So no water is flowing through the ditch right now. It's flowing through her house. So what could we do to solve the problem right now? I called the after-hour number. Let me tell you what they said. They looked for you, and you said we had to get the mayor had to give us permission to get sandbags.
Oh, he called for sandbags. He ain't said nothing about water coming to the house.
Yeah, she got water coming in the house. That's why I called for the sandbags today, the after-hour number. Yeah. And so we have an issue going on right now. We know about the rain. We know everything going on. What could we do to keep this from happening as of right now?
Send some guys out to open the pipes up and to get with the water department and get their truck.
You hear that, huh, Miss Ann?
No, I did.
Could you speak where she can hear you, please?
I said we have to get some guys out there to open the pipe up. We have to get the water department truck, so we need to get with them. But that issue happened because of the contractors putting that new sewer line in. They blocked the ditch up on the other end.
The contractors blocked what ditch up?
On Mississippi and Mooney, on the east side of the road. They put that new system in, or put that new system in. So the ditch is blocked up at that point.
But you can clean it out,
Yes,
so we need to get out there and do it.
yes.
Definitely need to keep an eye on that. I mean, a lot of rain's coming every day. I mean, all the ditches, I mean, somebody should be looking over the contractors that if they're plugging up ditches.
We are.
And, I mean, speaking of Elida, did y'all check out Elida Street?
It's all clean.
okay? Because they're having issues over there, water getting high, and so just want to make sure we keep maintaining some of those areas that are prone to high waters.
All the covers are clean.
So they'll be able to get out there to take care of this problem soon, because it's gonna be raining all the way up to Sunday. Okay.
How long will it take to get this truck in? Is it back order, or they already?
No, they already got it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and man, you really got me confused, and I'm confused is this the issue that we're having. We supposed to be fixing the sewer issue, right?
Correct.
I'm asking. I mean, if it's rocket scientist questions, ask me. If you scared to talk, let me know, cause I want to know, cause this is what's going on. Miss Ann got a problem right now. Her son, they putting sandbags in front of their house. She came and got me from my house to go down there and see. So I'm asking this here, if the sewer is creating a problem, what we need to do? Because it looks like we're fixing one problem, but we're creating another problem.
Well, the sewer's not creating the problem, it's just the pipe is stopped up. It's got mud in it. It can be cleaned out. Some problem we don't see until after it rains.
No, okay. I saw this problem 2 weeks ago. In the process, me not knowing, now you just said something about the contractor did this, but the water, the ditch been stopped up, and we know this. This ain't nothing just taking place, you know. That's why I push the issue. If we can't get the ditch cleans, let's start putting covers in the ditch. That's why I started doing it, the infrastructure. But you telling me something I'm kind of lost on, and I heard the mayor say, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for even saying that, let's get this solved right away. That's what he said. I don't know if you heard him, but we need to get it solved. 80-some years old, and she got to come to a council meeting just to talk about the water getting in her house. I mean, I can't go for that. They picked me for a reason. But if I got to go call the emergency number call you, and here you talking about a vacuum truck, a sewer truck, a blowout truck, $400-some thousand. But the problem is, I have no problem. I want you to get the truck. But I want it fixed where she don't have that problem. That's what I want. I don't want no city councilman have to be called about what I went through today. We have an issue. You riding through this same water I'm riding through. You stay on Mooney Avenue, I stay on Mooney Avenue. We have a problem that could be fixed easily fixed. It don't take 40 million to fix it. I know this. I don't work for the city. It got to be fixed. I'm sorry. I know I'm talking too much, but you know what? I'm going to always talk from this point on as long as I'm sitting up here. And I'm going to talk for District 3 and the city of Hammond. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But if you come up here, I'm going to ask you questions, and I want to know, and I want to know answers. Because I don't want Miss Ann leaving out her house no more, coming to get me out my house in the rain, talking about water going in her house. And she said, "There's Dale, you got to come now. You got to come now." Yeah, that's how serious it was. So, see, I can't smile like you, because I'm pissed. 80-some years old in the rain, coming to my house, water coming in her house. We have a real issue here. So tomorrow, I'm going to look and see if y'all down there tomorrow, because the mayor say right away. And I know what right away mean when he said, but I want to see if right away mean the same thing when it come to District 3. I want to see that.
We actually addressed it tonight. Guy had someone go out there who didn't know if it was a sewer. Guy called Robert. Robert's men went out there and said he knew what he needed to do. So we said, get it done. This particular truck is going to help with a lot of that, but not necessarily this. But he's going to get it taken care of.
Miss Ann, can you hear? Yes, come on. Speak in the mic, please.
That's my mother, Mary Ann, who's been there for since 1971, 72, taxpayer, all these years. And this is not an issue that just happened just today or last month or last year. Because on the east side of Mooney Avenue, which is a heavily traveled street, the drainage is not like on the west side. The west side has a wonderful drainage system. Nothing accumulates there. But on that east side, all down Mooney Avenue, it's just third world. It's third world. And I don't know how it's even like that, even today. But I'm glad I was there to help my mother. I'm here to help her, because the water was at the doorway. And it's all on that side. So whatever sewer, that's an issue, but that drainage is a totally different issue. So you could clean it out, but it's gonna clog up again, and then we're gonna have the same issue again. So whatever the council could do to upgrade that whole system on the east side, just like on the west side. Because there's school buses, everything. Mooney Avenue is a heavily traveled street. So please, if you have anything, Mom, say, keep it short. But thank you for listening.
Well, you can't tell her to keep it short. She done lived 85 years now.
My name is Miss Ann, and I've been on that street since '72, and nothing has changed. I was looking out my door, seeing the city fix the opposite side, putting drainage. Now, when the rain come, the ditches is clogged. City workers live on Mooney, and they pass, and they see that mess, and water is coming in my house. And I am a taxpayer, and I want it fixed. The ditch stays a mess. I'm 85. And I'm unable to get down in that ditch anymore, cleaning out bags of leaves. I can't do it anymore. And I need help. I need that problem fixed to keep that water out of my house. Or else I'm gonna ask the city to buy me another house.
And that being said, I'm just gonna share this here. That being said, we passed the budget last year, and this is what I talk about, that for the infrastructure, the drainage, and here it is, we done passed another budget this year, and it's funny, you know, how seem like things are being moved real slow when we do a budget. And I don't know, I got to say about District 3. I can't talk about no other district because I know how things are moving in our community. It's real slow. And I heard George say a third world. Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that, you know. And I know you don't have nothing to do with it, but the sidewalk in front of Hammond Junior High, school done started. These kids are walking in the road by Hammond Junior High. School have started. It don't make sense for us to be doing work in front of Hammond Junior High and school done started. I know you don't have nothing to do with it, but see what's going on? They call me. If I don't answer the house, or if I don't answer the phone, they're gonna come by the house. So any way you look at it, they're gonna get me. And I'm gonna listen, and I'm gonna answer, and I'm gonna go see. No water, the canals are not full. We rode by the canal on Phoenix Square, we rode by the canal on Mooney Avenue. The canals are not full. On the east side, at her house, you would think we had a flood, just in her area. So we talking about 6 houses, but she the only one getting water in her house. Yeah, that's what we did today. So when I ask about sandbags or whatever, well, I gotta get approval for a sandbag. Here we coming up with a storm, and I got to say it, I know y'all don't wanna hear it. We need sandbags on Mooney Avenue where people can get their own sandbags when they need them. We shouldn't have to go to the city barn to get no sandbags. We know it ain't just started raining, it's been raining. Yes, we have an issue. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon,
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Resolution number 11.
A resolution to authorize the purchase of a 2023 F-150 truck for the street department from Bill Hood Ford. Total cost $37,404. State contract 44000-23793. Robert Williams.
It's also in the budget, in budget.
And what is this truck going to be used for, Robert?
Gonna be for my right hand, be able to keep up with the guys.
Say that again. It's gonna be for your what?
My right hand guy to keep up with the guys. Got the guy that be on call 24/7.
What's he driving right now? Is he? You don't have a vehicle?
He's driving an old truck that's almost broken down now. Still keep it and use it for other things.
Anyone from the public? Any other question from anyone on the council? Not pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez, Councilman Leon,
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate your work.
Resolution number 12.
A resolution for the approval of solid waste service contract with Waste Pro of Louisiana, Inc., Andre Kutrin.
Council, the contract with Amwaste was canceled by mutual agreement, and that's effective August 31st. So this is a contract with a new contractor, Amwaste. And the substantive provisions of this contract are pretty much the same as the Amwaste contract. There is a difference in cost. And I'll ask others to address that one, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the contract itself.
The pickup is the same. In other words, you know, because it was a little unclear in the contract. So you have one container provided by the company.
Yes,
And-
this contract provides for a 95-gallon container. The other contract had a 65-gallon container. So by contract, this is a little bit bigger. This contract a little more specific about pickup of items with 2 cubic yards, 6 by 3 by 3. Adjoining the cart would be picked up. Bulky waste would be included. Yard waste would be included.
So when you say adjoining on the 2 cubic, that could be like another container?
Yes. I mean, it's just 2 cubic yards of additional items outside of the container they're providing.
So these containers are going to be even bigger than the containers that we have?
Yeah, and the folks here are happy to, maybe they can ask more specific questions. Under the contract, they're going to provide a 95-gallon can. The old contract had a 65-gallon can.
Which a lot of my constituents that are old and single still can't handle, so now we're going to give them something even bigger.
Well, and this contract does, at our request, and they wholeheartedly agreed, to allow for, if there's a mobility impaired resident that is having trouble with getting their garbage to the street, they can call the company and make arrangements for them to pick that up near their house. So there is a provision for someone who does have a hard time getting it to the street.
Is there going to be, I mean, The other contract allowed for, well, let me just put it this way. So if a person, and I do have a lot of single elderly people in my district. If they have a smaller container, maybe not your container, but a smaller container, which fits within the 2 cubic feet, you would pick that up.
Yes, we are using side loaders, so if it's the 65-gallon, then those are usually capable of being tipped into our trucks as well. But we're also going to have a chase truck, so we could accommodate that. We just like to get a list of those addresses so that we can make sure that those are routed
Yeah, that's
correctly.
fair. I just want to make sure I'm taking care of everybody.
And ma'am, Jolene, just give us your name so we can have
Jolene
that. for the
Johnson,
record.
I'm the Regional Director of the Government Relations for Waste Pro in this area.
Let me ask you, who asked y'all to come here tonight?
The mayor?
Okay, all right. There you go, Steve. They showed up. They got a contract coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
So
did.
they showed up, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Seen it on the agenda. We've been working with Mr. Kutrin.
To follow up on Steve's point there, I've had people as well say, I don't want to use the giant container, and that was a 65-gallon one. They want to just use their small one because maybe it's a single person. Can they put only their small container, and it's maybe smaller than the 65-gallon one? Will you guys pick that up, or you're using an arm, so it's got to be one of the fancy ones that have the
No, we're
ability?
going to pick up outside the can too, so if it's their
But
container.
even if they don't put the can?
If it's their container.
Okay.
If you don't put a can out, if you don't put our can out, and you've got a smaller container out, we're still going to pick it up. because it's
Current
still
can
under-
is 95.
I'm sorry?
I think the current contract just specified a minimum of 65. The current container that has Amwaste on it that everybody uses is 95.
Okay, good.
So we're not
It's
getting an
bigger.
extra giant one.
Thank you.
It will be new, though.
So the current contract, they opted out of this agreement, the current company we have?
The current company came to the city with a price increase to increase the price that wasn't provided in the contract, or to cut back to 1 day a week pickup service. And that led to a bigger discussion. I was not particularly a part of it, but a bigger discussion about, do we want a new company to pick up garbage? And that's what led to the termination of that contract and having this new company come in to pick up the garbage.
So as of right now, picking the garbage up, how much is we charging per unit to pick up the garbage? As of right now, how much we?
Amwaste currently charges us $12.59 per unit. However, we charge the customer $14.08 per unit because we also provide the recycling services and have to pay for that time and labor and disposal. So we have some options going forward with the services that we want to provide to customers. And so all we're here to talk about tonight is the actual contract itself and the terms and the agreement.
But under this contract, it's $18.60 per unit.
That's correct.
So we would have to increase the fee. I understand that's not what we're doing tonight, but we need to at least understand that
You were going to increase the fee regardless. The minimum fee that was proposed by Amwaste was $4 a unit. So the minimum fee was already going up. It was just a matter of who do you want to collect the garbage?
So Andre, did the current contract, did they release us from our obligations or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
Now, under our arrangement in the transition, we're allowed to use their trash cans. So Amwaste cans can still be used till the middle of October, and then they will eventually be replaced with the new Waste Pro cans.
Is Amwaste going to pick up their cans?
No, Waste Pro will pick up the Amwaste's cans.
No, I mean,
Empty
like, to
those.
get rid of.
Oh,
She's
yes.
talking about pick them
yes.
up. Yeah. But we intend to have our new cans out before the end of September, so everybody will be using the new ones, and that way, in the transition, we'll let Amwaste know when, so that they can pick them up as we're putting them out.
And just for some context, when we did an RFP for services back in 2020, we had, I think it was 2020, I don't remember actually offhand. It says the bids were due in October of 2019. The contract started in January of 2020. Waste Pro was the second best contractor, so the second lowest. So we went with the lowest. Waste Pro came in as second. There were two other contractors that were considerably higher. We also did some price comparison with some current places that they service and with what results they had had in their recent process. And again, Waste Pro was the most competitive in those areas as well, by many dollars, not just a few.
You do understand that what we've been going through has not been pleasant. We've not had any kind of regular garbage pickup. We've had every excuse underneath the sun, which I know are valid. There's no labor out there. There's no parts for machinery, yada, yada, yada. So you're coming into a situation where nobody's real happy right now.
Right. We do understand that environment, and to be quite frank, we've seen that in some of the areas that we've been taking over, some of the contracts. And all I can say is that we're a small, big company, so we're a privately owned company, so we don't have to answer to shareholders. And that's how we're able to do some things that other companies that can't. But we're in 10 states, so when we have a hurricane that hits over here, we have the resources to bring in backup. And I'll give you an example. Back when Hurricane Ida hit, we had trucks on the road within 24 hours delivering roll-offs. We were picking up our residential units. Ida came in on Sunday, Monday. We were picking up our residential units on Thursday. Nobody else was at the landfills. We were out there because that's what we do. We don't want our communities to suffer. It's bad enough they're sitting there without power, but to sit there and smell all the garbage that's rotting is not something that we try to do. So we brought in people. We brought in fuel trucks so we could hot pipe the fuels into our truck. We put our our people that were, because our people live here too. So they were, they suffered as well from the hurricane. So some of them didn't have places to stay. We put them in hotels. We set up places at our shops. We fed them and their families for, probably 2 months so they didn't have to. We let them, we paid for the gas in their personal vehicles so they get back and forth and come to work, so they didn't have to stand in the lines for the gas. So we're a small, big company, but it's a family company, and we take care of everybody in our company, and that includes our communities that we serve. And so that's how we can make sure that we're serving the community, even when we're having problems ourselves. So we've got resources to help and bring
In
that.
the event of something unforeseen or beyond your control, how are you going to notify areas that their pickup will be a day late or 2 days late or whatever in order for you to get back on track?
We typically we notify the city. Here it would be the city. We'd call the city, and if there's something, let's just say that there's a road that was washed out. Oh, well, after Ida, we found a lot of trees down. So we were in constant communication, letting the parish manager know there's a tree down on here. So he didn't know it yet because they hadn't made it there for their evaluations. So we're in constant communication just to make sure that everybody is on the same page and everybody's working from the same script. I mean, we don't want our truck stuck. We don't want a citizen to come across our truck. We don't want to put our people in danger. So if there's a road that's washed out, we're going to back up. Safety is our number one, and service is number two. And that's just how we operate. And but communication is key for us, and it's not failed us yet.
Well, I can't say this here, and I like what you said, communication, because anytime I had any problems, I would always call Mr. Carlos, and for every problem that we had, it was always solved, as far as the trash and how they do things and how they've been doing things. And one of my concerns is, and I heard you say it, about local, because one thing about the other service provider, I knew guys on the truck. Mm-hmm. And by me knowing guys on the truck, I could talk to them, and they could tell me things that Mr. Carlos probably didn't know about. And once I talked to them and talked to Mr. Carlos, both of the stories was the same, and during the storm, and all of us aware of it, everybody been having issues pretty much since the virus, with workers. And I saw y'all trucks in Covington, mm-hmm. St. Tammany, and I saw the one arm and stuff. And I saw the one arm, and it's just my opinion. It's a slow process. It's less means, but it's a slower process, on getting the garbage. So I'm more aware of the one-arm service, but
we will have both though here. we'll have a chaser truck as well to pick up the stuff that the one arm doesn't pick up.
Yeah.
So we'll have a rear loader as well.
And see, you're saying that, and I heard Steve speak about the elders and the garbage cans being put out, you know, give you the address, give you the address. So will it cost any more money once we give you the address? Because see, this is what's going on now, and this is what I see. Right now, you're gonna say everything that we want to hear, and you're gonna be able to answer every question. But once we do the contract, and for one thing, I don't agree with no contract, no 5 years or none of that. I don't agree with that. For one thing, I'm gonna say that, because once we locked in for 5 years, in which I know you don't have nothing to do with that. You know, we lock in for 5 years. The administration, the councilman, we don't know what's gonna change. So, you know, and that's for us, you know. I don't agree with no 5 years on making no deal with nobody for 5 years, because we can't get out of it, and we end up having trouble, and it look like we got to go back to Andre on how we do this, how we do that. And I wasn't aware of the situation that, and I knew we had problems with the other service. And I know this don't have nothing to do with you, but I wasn't even aware we were switching contractors, you know. I just want, if I give your address today and y'all picking up garbage tomorrow, you know, will you be able to pick it up? And you can sit here and tell me, yeah, now, and like Miss Ann, I've used her for an example. She calls me for everything. If she don't call, she come by. So she one of the elders that I have to deal with in my community, for as, you know, putting the garbage can out there, getting it picked up. So explain to me how y'all gonna go to their house or in their yard and get the garbage.
They'll go up. Typically what happens is, we call it front door, back door service. And so the can will usually sit at one particular space in their driveway or on the side of their house. And our employee will go up and get it, push it to the truck, empty it, and push it back up to where it was.
Well, I ain't gonna tell no story, man. I ain't lying. You making me don't want to take my garbage out to the road now. If you
That's why they're going to be qualified, and it can't be like
Huh?
3,000 people. But that's what he was saying about the people that it has to be a valid, and so we'll validate them with the, you know, the city and us. We can validate them and make sure that it's a valid. It's not, you know, somebody who's 21 and
Well, how we
ready,
gonna
willing, and
validate?
able to push a 96-gallon cart and just doesn't want to.
How we gonna validate that? I'm asking. How we gonna validate that
We usually do.
he's able to put it out? He's not able.
Well, in some contracts, we have, they'll have a medical disclosure, not a medical disclosure, but they'll have something from their doctor. So if somebody comes to the door in a wheelchair, we know that they're not able to do it. If you tell me and I can believe you, then, you know, I mean, it's not, we don't make everybody go get a doctor's note or anything like that, but it's something that we can agree upon. I mean, but if there's, you know, I don't think that you have 3,000 people that can't put cans out, but that, I mean, it's not going to change your price.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
They're 85, you know they're 85. If
Absolutely.
they're in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
you know that. If they're
Handicap
special needs,
driver's
you know that.
license, I mean, there's ways of
Yeah, there's ways.
reasonably verifying
Absolutely.
those conditions.
Yeah, but I'm saying this here, and thank you for being honest. You know, that is this in the contract right now? That if a person's not able to put their garbage out, that they'll go to the door service.
It says the contractor shall make reasonable accommodations to retrieve carts from a location near the home for residents with a mobility impairment who has registered with the contractor. So they've got to contact the contractor
Yeah.
and register. And once they've been, you know, we use the word verified, once it's been, you know, checked that there is a mobility impairment, then the contract says they will retrieve the carts from a location near the home.
Mm-hmm.
That'll depend upon the house and how it's laid out and how they can get it. But that's exactly what the contract says.
All right.
Usually pushed up next to the house or on the side of the house, under the carport, next to the garage, something like that. That's usually, as long as we can see it and get to it. I mean, we can't go in the backyard with dogs or anything like that.
Yeah.
I guess another thing is, in the contract, is there anything that'll hold them accountable, if there's bad experiences in the past like we've had.
They do have liquidated damages with a per diem penalty for poor, I'll just say poor service. And that's varies from $100 a day to $50 a day, depending upon the, the shortfall of the service. So there is liquidated damages penalties for that.
Okay. And then, so 5 years, I mean, this contract said, I guess it started work on August 3rd. I mean, I really didn't hear about it or anything until recently, so pretty big deal to kind of be kept in the dark on. But anyways, and so y'all are going up from, let's see, the Amwaste is 1408 right now, and this, y'all are at 1860, roughly, 1860?
Yes, per year.
Okay. And how much would this affect the bill to the citizens right now, Lacey? Did we figure that out?
That's up for the council. That's for a later discussion about what rate increase we would be looking at.
This is a charge to the city, then the council would need to sort out, does that make an adjustment to what's charged to the residents or to the units?
Would it probably have to come somewhere?
Well,
I mean,
that's
that's
where you guys-
something that
yeah,
would be a discussion.
Yes.
Along with this, I think, decision. Is anyone here from the Amwaste right now?
Yeah, I saw a truck outside.
You want to come up and talk about anything that we're talking about of being obligated, or y'all pretty much done? I mean, any question?
Good evening, Dustin Fortenberry, District Manager for Amwaste. Not here to defend anything about the contract. I think that's all done. Very disappointed in how, but that's, I started this contract with Parish Disposal in 2009, so to your question earlier, Councilman Leon, why am I here? I was here for the first one, and I wanted to be here for the last one. So that's simply it. But, we requested a price increase, and the next thing we got was an option to terminate. So, they had, I guess, made other arrangements. And so, the fact of the matter is, costs have gone up across the board, and we were very comfortable in our ask. And, and just as a correction, we're not 1408, we're 1259. So that's what we charge the city. What happens after that, I don't have any say in that. But, so from 1259, we requested 1659. And the truth is, you can't do it for 1659 either. We were just trying to get back to breathing room so that we could continue to mitigate the costs that had increased. Look, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't think you can do it for 1860 either, but that's not going to be for me to determine. But our message was, we've been servicing the city for a long time. Me personally for about 13 years off and on, and have gone through some very, very challenging times. And for any competitor, it doesn't matter if it's them or anyone else, but until you're the one that has to do it and face the challenge, there's no parallel universe where you can say, well, we would have done this, we would have done that. So, I wish the city the best and the residents the best. I do hate that it came out the way it did, but our goal was to get our price to where we could just continue to do business and then see the contract through. But that said, I appreciate everyone and the residents, and we'll be here if you need us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I will say this, that the service did get really bad for a while, but over the last 6 months, 12 months, my calls have went down a good bit on that. I mean, it really, hasn't seemed like y'all did some change in the system that worked.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. About a year ago was the storm. That's the biggest thing I've ever faced in my career. And I really feel like unless you were in this corridor, it tore us up. And so that was a big challenge, and it took at a minimum 3 to 4 months to start to turn back around from some of those issues. So I think that falls in line with what you've seen. Like you said, the last 6 months, it's just been a recovery phase, and I've been pleased with our team. Councilman Wells, as you said, You know, our guys on the back, you know them. I think some of them are even related to you. You know, we've taken a lot of pride in being the provider, and you know, look, full disclosure, it stings not to be it, but we understand that this was just a business decision that started on our part, and this is the end result. So, again, I'll answer any questions, but I just wanted to say thank y'all for the years of opportunity.
So ask one question.
Yes, sir.
So if you wouldn't ask for a rate increase, you probably would still be here, huh? Yeah, I mean, that would it sound like when you asked for a rate increase. Look like
our request was simply, you know, for the $4 increase, we could continue to see through the contract, which is a year and 8 or 9 months, I think, remaining. And then our backup to that was if the city is unable or unwilling to grant the price increase, maybe we could just put it out to bid. That was our second ask, was let's put this to RFP and see what the industry comes back with. So that was what our initial letter stated, but that, you know.
So the $4 increase, that would have been about $16.
$16.59.
$16.59, okay. All right. So, I mean, I guess the question here is, you know, so the new company that proposed tonight in the contract, does it have anything that protects us from any increases periodically, or
No, there's both of the agreements had an annual CPI increase. So if the consumer price index goes up, then the price goes up, and that was in both agreements.
There are also triggered increases with landfill costs increasing.
Okay.
That has been in every garbage contract that we've had.
And there's a gas increase in this contract. Gas goes over a certain price, it could go up as well.
So y'all did increases throughout, or y'all started at $12, or y'all started lower than that?
We started, it was around $9, but this was 13 years ago.
Okay. But when y'all got the contract, though, 2 years ago or whatnot, whenever y'all...
No, we had there was a CPI earlier this year. I think it went from 12.10 or so. I think it 12.08, so about 50 cents at the beginning of the year. And so this request, under the existing agreement, well, the AmWaste agreement, there was a request or a modification of rates where you had your annual increase, just like any other contract, and then you could request from the city if there was any out-of-period or off-cycle increases due to, and there was a list of things which some of those boxes had been checked with the cost of fuel and the cost of labor and the cost, you know, just all of it. So this was an out of period request, but you know, I feel like we did it the right way, which was to send the letter, or you know, send something in writing requesting some assistance from the city.
So did you ever get a chance to sit down with Mr. Andre and talk to Mr. Andre about, you know, the increase?
I personally did not.
I spoke with their lawyers.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because I'm looking at it, and it's just my math, help me out if I'm wrong. I'm looking at $2.01 difference and going with the new company versus the old company. Am I right?
It would be $2.08 difference.
8 cents?
There's also tipping fees, right? So
This is if we went with the higher cost. If we went with the lower cost, we would pay the tipping fees. But when we did an estimate on the average of disposal and what we have collected and then transported, it's not in our favor to pay those fees.
So the new contractor is going to pay the tipping fee and the disposal fee.
I don't want us to lose sight here. I mean, we're talking about increase in $2 here, $3 there. And I'm talking for my constituents and myself. The service level has been horrible. I mean, we have gone, I mean, there was a period a month or so ago, 3 weeks without pickup. I mean, we have just not, areas in my district that just flat got skipped. I mean, I was on the phone with Carlos all the time, and I can't speak for the rest of y'all, but service to me with this contract has just not been what we wanted it to be. Now, Dustin, I know you got some legitimate, because I've had lots of conversations.
Sure.
I know you got legitimate issues with labor, legitimate issues with trucks breaking down, and a whole lot of different things. But again, what I have to hear every week from the people in my district is, what's the deal with the garbage? When we get the new contract? This is ridiculous. We got garbage, we got maggots out on the garbage cans. I mean, it's just things that I hear, so.
Councilman, you got them. You got them. They're here. Again, I'm not here to fight this. I'm simply here to say that I'm sorry it came down the way it did, and I appreciate the years. That's it.
Well,
And
I appreciate you too. I'm just reminding the council that, while we can talk about dollars, I think part of the issue was service too. Am I correct, Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely. And at 1659, you just said that you're going to get yourself through a year, 9 months, but you're still not making money. So that's a fight right there all in itself with the same problems you're having. So you're talking about a $2 increase, but yet we're talking about service at this point as well.
And I guess where I was going with that, we did have
Dollar
bad service earlier on, and then, it has improved in mine. I don't forget about that, but, I just want to make sure that, it'd be nice. We got this kind of last minute. We don't really know how much it's actually going to affect the cost of the actual residents going to another company. I mean, I don't really know much about the new company. I'm sure y'all are a great company, but, I don't know that they're not experienced or had experiences the same issues that Waste has, and to switch over to another company, to pay more, I definitely wouldn't want to go down the same road at a higher fee, and higher to the residents, because then, whenever they start seeing a $5 or $10 increase on the bill, with every other utility costs, with energy and everything else, it'll be other calls that we get in, and then the service may not be as, may have issues too, and then that'll be an even bigger issue to deal with down the road. So, yeah, I want the garbage fixed and correctly, but, like I said, my calls have dwindled down the last few months. That doesn't excuse the fact beforehand, but, that's all I'm saying. I don't really know much about the new company. I didn't see a resume or any kind of, was there something sent over about the new company that was proposed of, any recommendations or any service, any kind of, reviews?
Oh, absolutely. We're East Louisiana Parish. We're also in the city of Gonzales. We provide it in Livingston Parish. We do subscription service all through the whole North Shore. We have Ascension Parish. We do the town of Napoleon. We do the town of Folsom. We've been in Louisiana for 12 years. But we're in, like I said, we're in 10 states, started over in Florida, but Waste Pro itself has been operating since 2000, so we've been a company for 22 years. And the owner of our company has been in garbage since the early 70s. And it's just, in his blood, his son is the president of our company. And like I said, it's a family-owned business, and that's how we operate. So it's all about service. That's safety first and service.
Livingston Parish and Denham Springs have both said they do a good job.
And my concern is about the constituents. We could sit here and talk, I like how you said that, Councilman Leon. When I go back, when the community say, Devon, why our water bill so high? Why our garbage fees so high? And I don't know about you all, but I deal with a lot of fixed income. And right now we're dealing with energy, and we already know how high the light bills are. So when I'm dealing with that and some of the things that I can control, yes, I'm going to speak about it and I'm going to talk about it, because they have me up here for a reason. And the whole idea is for me to look out for the community and the city of Hammond as much as possible. So anytime somebody talking about an increase, I want to know firsthand, because right now I got people in the district here and they have an issue. So guess what? I'm going to have to hear this here tonight, and we haven't even got to their issue yet. So that's what I be afraid of. So that's why I want to know.
I had a question about the contract. Whenever it was passed, the Amway's contract was passed, there was a set amount of time so that it would expire at the time that the parish was going to be coming up, and then we were going to bid everything together and hopefully get better prices.
Parish.
And with the recycling, hopefully revisit that. I have a lot of constituents, I know Steve is the same way, who wanted recycling. And so if we're entering into a 5-year agreement, how does that affect the plan of bidding the whole parish and the 2 municipalities?
The parish just renewed, so they have, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if it was 5, but
With Amway?
they're not in line with us at the moment.
Okay.
It's
And-
us and Ponchatoula.
Is Ponchatoula, are they moving to
Yes.
Waste Pro?
And we could always do a separate contract for recycling services if we wanted to see pricing on that. But I will guarantee you, none of those prices have decreased.
Right.
I mean, we still can recycle. I mean, it's that we still offer that at the city of Hammond to drop off. You could pay $100. Is it still $100 a year that will, with y'all and Waste for them to come pick up curbside, right? Is that correct? Or no, that's.
No, they
No,
don't offer.
we recycle at 190.
Okay.
Yeah, we recycle at 190 on the first and third Saturdays, 8 to 12. And then there was another gentleman from a different company that came and spoke to us about a subscription service.
Recyclops, they
That's
haven't
correct.
started.
Yeah.
Right.
Still.
Yeah, I
Because I
don't
re-
think they have a big enough customer base yet.
Because I remember back then, I mean, y'all said pretty much 90% of the recycling was going to the dump anyway. I mean, that's what we were told originally a while back.
I don't know the percentages,
Yeah.
but there was an issue with contamination.
Yeah.
Because and unfortunately, it got increasingly difficult because the Recycle Foundation got to the point where you would dump the load and they would see enough trash in it and say, you know, there were fees for it being contaminated. It got to the point it was near impossible to get a clean recycling load to them. So yeah, that among some other things with costs, just the recycling, curbside didn't make sense, but the availability with your drop site still did and does. So that piece was continued. But, you know, look, again, unless there are any questions for me, I didn't come here to do anything tonight. And I would just say in closing, you know, as y'all said, communication is paramount. And, you know, if there are service issues, you know, call your contractor and ask them to come to the podium and let's talk about it. Because, you know, this is, you know, I'm just here to say, you know, bid farewell and didn't come to talk about service. And it's the first we're kind of being attacked with it. So, you know, it needs to be hit head on, regardless of who, you know, even if it's out of our industry, just in general. But you know, I appreciate the time. Again, if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but we just came to be a part of it. So, thank y'all.
I'll just,
Wish you the best, Dustin. You're a
Yeah.
young man, and we may see you again, so good luck.
Be good. Thank
I'll
you.
say a personal note to Dustin, that this is a man who responded quickly when we would call, rode the trucks himself many times. And Lauren, same way, lots of creative ideas and helping out customers, and I've enjoyed working with both of you.
Thank you, Lacey. Same to you, the mayor. I know you stepped out, but the rest of you, we really, it's been great. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin.
Is there anyone else from the public?
Council President, Council, and everyone.
Good evening.
Tracy Washington Wells, 1610 Mooney Avenue. So on my water bill, I'm charged $14.08, and I heard Mr. Dustin from Amway say that they charged $12.59, and they were asking for an increase to $16.59. So that's a $1.49 difference for 5,714 units. That's $8,513 a month. So where does that extra money go? So if the Amway is only charging $12.59 and our bill says $14.08, where does the extra $8,513 go a month, which is $102,000 a year? Where does that go?
Originally passed by everyone here was the additional rate. It was to pay for the recycling services that are offered out at $190 for the staff that collect those and for the disposal costs and paying all of that for the recycling costs. In addition, We have always had a slightly higher rate so that we don't have to come year after year during the 5-year period to raise the rates on customers.
To the council, you're being asked tonight to vote on a 5-year contract where you don't know how it's going to affect us, the citizens, particularly the elderly. $1.49 won't bother me, thank the Lord. But to those who are on a fixed income, you don't even know yet what the cost is going to be. Councilwoman Gonzalez made that point. Councilman Sam made that point. So why would you vote for a 5-year contract for $18.60 a month and not know how it's going to affect the citizens? Yes, we do need good garbage service. We would be up a creek without it for public health's sake. But at the end of the day, you have to be fiscally responsible. And $18.60 a month for 5 years, why can't you alter it to 1 year? Why can't we pay Amway $16.59? That's a $6.01 difference. I don't know where the $4 came from. And additionally, was a bid or a request for proposal done? Why are we going with one contractor when nothing was done, where you asked for multiple bids to see if this was the absolute best price? So I don't think this is a good decision to make tonight, because I heard you say you just got the information with no brochures, no reviews, no ratings. I don't know anything about Waste Pro, so nothing against them. I do know Amwaste is our service provider now. But think about the decision that you're going to make. And if you want to put it out for bid to see if we can get a better rate for the citizens, then do that. I think that's something that should be considered. Thank you.
I mean, I think I had some good points there. I mean, the whole 5-year deal, the last minute rush. I don't think Amwaste, are y'all going to stop picking up trash for us, or are y'all going to still pick up trash until something's figured out?
Well, without a legal representative here, I would tell you that our contract ends Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not, pulling resources, so it would take, I guess, a special agreement, an interim agreement between now and completion of bids, which we're willing to do, but nothing's in place for that. But no, I mean, there's no reason we can't continue to pick up logistically and as far as resources go. But I think it would have to be an interim agreement that at least runs, a month, 2 months, whatever the process is to get an RFP out and responded to and awarded.
Mm-hmm.
But it's doable on our end.
I mean, since I just got it, I mean, I don't see there's a sense of urgency of rushing as long as our residents were not without trash pickup.
Well, that question would be in Amwaste's control,
Okay.
because our agreement now with them is it expires the end of the month. They could extend it, and I know, and we're not going to try to put you on the spot, but that would have to be an agreement
Mm-hmm.
with them to extend that for some transition period.
And I think, I'm going to say this here, once again. My concern be the constituents, the price. I heard Tracy, I call her Tracy at the house. I heard she said $1 and something, it's no problem to us. But it's bigger than us. My concern is the community, and I'm always going to put the community before me. And I want to make sure that they are aware of what's going on. So I'm going to be honest, this is nothing that, and I'm for one thing, and we all should be tired of these last minute votes. We got to vote on this now. If we don't vote on it now, 3 people going to die. We got to stop doing it. And I'm talking about it's going into the 4th year, and it's still been taking place from day one. That's the bad decision we made with the chief. We got the chief, didn't have no information, and we voted on the chief. So see, when we rush into these things, what take place, and I've been asking for the longest, get me the information, get me what I need, tell me where I need to go and where I stand. I can't afford, I'm not gonna make no more bad decisions as long as I'm up here. And I pray. So we have to have more time, a process on how we're gonna do this here. And right now, I see this here, this is what's going on, and I'm gonna say it again. We're in an election year. So right now, you're gonna throw, things gonna be rushed on us. We voting for it. Yes, 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 yes. And we're not even knowing what we voting on and who it gonna affect. You know, we just sit here, and I didn't vote on it, and I don't even know was it passed or not, you know. Almost close to $1 million for software, you know, that somebody said they group got together and they group okay with it. You know what? But they group ain't paying for it. We over the money. Let's start acting like we over the money. You know, when we just like we control our bank accounts, we supposed to control a city bank account. And right now, from this point on, I already know from here to November, everything gonna come before us. If you vote no, now you're not gonna get back in office. So you got to vote yes. That's the only way you get back in office. But we still are current city councilmen, and we have to act like it from the day we started all the way up till you're not here no more, you know. So we have to do better.
First and foremost, you voted for the chief. You knew the chief, and that's that. This right here, 1659, Dustin, we've had problems. You know we've had problems. We call you, and you answer. Problems haven't been fixed. I still get calls. Steve still get calls. This $2.01, we know that this 1659 is not going to make them any money. They're trying to get through 2 years. It's time to make a change, and this is the right thing to do, and this is a good company. We've checked references. They do a good job. They've been there for Ida. This is the right call. Andre has worked with the attorneys. This has been a process, as it always is.
I think it's just a communication deal. It's not against the new company. It's not against the old company. But here it is. We're getting this decision thrown to us last minute, and it's a big decision that we're voting on. And we didn't get really everything until recently. And so that's all. That's the concern I have. And we're voting on a decision and it's proposed to us for 5 years too. So I mean, that's what's here on the table. So I mean, that's a big decision to be committing for 5 years, and we just have one company out there and haven't seen any other companies, and you know, didn't even get the contract until recently, and so yeah, and I mean we have to vote on it. So.
And there are none of these companies that are going to give you a year contract.
I mean, they
5
give
years
us 4, I think.
Starting to be pretty common.
Okay, but Andre, and I want to thank you too for working with the other company. And Mr. Mayor, you're right. I did vote for the chief, but you know what? I didn't have all the information. I got the information that you provided, and you know what? And I said it earlier, and I'm gonna make it very clear. I made a mistake. That's costing the community right now. And I know ain't nobody gonna say it. Not only costing the community, it's costing the city of Hammond right now for the mistake that I made, because guess what? I didn't have all the information.
Sure you did.
No, yeah, in your book, but I didn't have all the information. But Andre, thank you. But you know what? Why we don't do a contract? You know, why we not sitting here looking at other options? You know, I'm saying, and it's nothing against the company. And I thank the company from coming out, and I thank the old company from coming out. How many people was proposed for this here? Because that's what we do, proposals, right?
You can, you don't have to, because this is professional service.
Okay.
So you know you had Waste Pro, you know you had AmWaste, you knew what those two issues were. I was not involved or engaged in any other discussions with any other contractor.
Okay.
So I can't answer that question. I can tell you the contracts themselves are very similar. There's a little bit of change here and there, but not substantive. So the contracts themselves are the same. I think you just got to look at cost and service. I mean, that's really what's here. Look, it's hard when you're negotiating contracts back and forth, and we negotiated fairly, both on the termination and on the new contract. I don't like to send contracts to you, and then they get changed up by the time you come to vote on it. So when you read it, that might not be the contract you're actually voting on. So it's very difficult in the course of negotiating back and forth for me to send you a very early draft, and that might not be the contract you're voting on. So I know, and I know when I have to make a decision, I don't like to make it, quickly. I tried to give you guys the heads up that it was coming, it just wasn't ready, and that's no fault of anybody's. It just takes time to negotiate these things to try to get the fairest deal for both sides. So yes, sir, it did come late, and I acknowledge that, but it's substantially the same deal you had before. The difference is going to be the price and the service.
And you don't have to introduce, there's no process introducing public service and then voting on it afterwards, or it's.
No, sir, this can be done by resolution.
Okay.
And I want to thank you, Mr. Andre, for your professionalism, not getting loud, not getting rowdy. I want to thank you for everything that you do. And I appreciate you being honest. Thank you.
I think the issue that we face and looking at right now is actually what the amount would be on the bill. So, yeah, I think that's where we're at.
Yes. Yes, because I got to go back to the community about it.
They need how long would it take to get some options as far as increases?
Because
I think that's kind of important to kind of come along with everything where you're looking at it. I mean, at the end of the day, have two options. I mean,
yeah, this is your agreement with the contractor, and then of course then you got to figure out what are you going to charge back to the citizens.
Yeah, I mean, has there been discussion of what it's going to be?
They discussing it now.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like $6 more a month, give or take, and that's if, $6 more a month.
Y'all usually put a cushion in there, it seems like, so is that $2 that y'all put a cushion, is that a standard that y'all normally do, or where was the $2 figured out?
So and I guess I didn't know everybody was going to have all these questions because we weren't going to talk about the rates tonight, but when this was proposed to everybody, you had a full breakdown on a spreadsheet, and you had, here's what 1 day a week service would have been, because we actually got bids on all of that, or proposals on all of that when we did it. 1 day a week, 2 day a week, if they provided the can, if they didn't provide the can, and then the different recycling options. We had a curbside recycling option, and we had a 190 recycling option. We had all that, and then talked about the different variables. You had 6 different comparisons on those variables then, and that's, everybody was in agreement that we were putting that cushion in there because of covering the recycling costs and of making sure that we didn't bring to customers every year a rate increase, because nobody likes rate increases. They hate them. So at the very beginning of the contract, the city would have a little extra. Towards the end of the contract, the city would probably be paying a little extra in terms of the garbage service costs.
Well, I think this is a little bit different from originally, because originally we were bidding out, looking at the contracts and picking the lowest bidder pretty much. Here it is, we're making a change, a transition. So I think transition, it is important to have a lot of the details about what is this going to change to the people that live in here that are getting the bill. So it's a little different situation we're dealing with right now today than what we were dealing with when we went with Am Waste and then worked out the details later and extent about the charging, because we're changing over. I get calls about water bills being incorrect, this and that all the time, and rechange and coming back and looking at it. And then if there's another $5 or $6 thrown in there, then they're going to say, well, why is the garbage up? Well, I mean, we change contracts. I mean, it's good to kind of know all the details what we're going to work on. And I mean, to me, I mean, some people, they may want to stay with the same company with us if they don't want to pay another $5. I'm not saying that's a smart way to go, but I'm saying that's I don't know where they're at right now.
So either way, we're looking at a rate increase of a minimum of $4, a minimum of $4. Either way.
And the lowest bidder is not always the best service.
So the second, like, the reason that I think people started talking to this company was because they were the closest when we went this route the first time. And they're the closest by, I mean, like, they're, the other two companies who had bid were like way out of the park.
When was this?
This
In
was back when
2020 or recent?
In 2019.
Okay, yeah.
Versus
not-
2020. And then we have some other recent bids that have come in with some other municipalities. And the other providers that are bidding on it are much higher, much higher than Waste Pro. And so, again, we can go through this. There was not a lot of time to make, and that's why the RFP process didn't happen. There's not enough time for it.
And we're talking as high as $26.28.
Yeah, that was in 2019, 2020, and I mean, you know, it was a big decision being made, and I mean, you know, y'all as administration probably looking at making a transition, so I mean, you know, hopefully not last week. So I mean, you know, a lot of the planning and preparation could have, you know, taken in place, and maybe a phone call to a council member.
Well, I told you 2 weeks ago we were working with this.
Yeah, no, I think you whispered back here saying something you want to call us individually and talk about it, and I never got a call individually. Council Kip, did you get a call individually about
Talked with him
anything?
a couple of weeks
Okay.
back.
Did you, Carly, did you get an individually conversation with him about this?
Today.
Okay. Steve, Council C, okay. Okay, I just want to make sure. Councilman West?
No, we didn't talk at all.
I just want
No,
to make
no,
sure that
we
maybe I
didn't
was the
talk.
one left out of the phone calls, so. And that's why you're here tonight, and I appreciate y'all hearing. There's nothing against Mr. Tallow or anything, or Amwaste, but this decision came in tonight with no preparation, no plan, no communication behind the scenes, and here we are tonight, and y'all are, you know, here waiting, and it's nothing personal at all, so I hope you don't take it that way, but it's a decision to be made, and, you know, here we are rushing to get it done, and y'all sitting here waiting, and we're discussing it, so.
I do think, though, Councilman, that, and
Yeah.
I do think that this has been an issue we have discussed it, not to the level that we're for change contracts, but, I mean, as a council, we have discussed poor service on our garbage pickup for some time now. Just broad brush.
Yeah. Mr. Andre, ask you another question. Is this contract already in place?
The one with Waste Pro?
Yeah,
No.
it's not.
That's what we're voting on.
Okay. So is there any way that we can put this on hold where we can get more information, or what? I'm asking.
Well, the current deal with Amwaste expires end of this month. They would have to agree to extend their service to give more time for more of a transition.
Yeah.
That'd be a special council meeting if you wanted to do it before then. The regular council meeting's not for another couple of weeks.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, Amwaste may not come, you know, even if we were able to get another month or two or three, why would they accept it at $12.59 where we don't have a rate increase? So we're facing a rate increase no matter what, I assume. I can't imagine they would say, sure, we'll keep going for 2 or 3 months at the same amount that they're not making money on
I wouldn't
currently.
expect them to ask that or for them to agree to that.
Right, pickle.
So, but Amway, the new company, are you using y'all cans right now when it started, right? So, I don't know. And just like just now, one of my constituents, you know, we were talking about the rate increase. And she asked me, do they have to pay it now? And I told her, just hold up 1 minute. I don't know yet. So,
The residents don't have to pay anything more unless you decide to pay more. So that would stay the same until you
Talking
decide.
about $30,000 more a month? Does that sound right? I mean, my math is $12.59 for that many units is $71,900 and some change a month. The new rate is $18.60, which is one of $106,000 per month. So if we pass this new one and didn't do a rate increase, you're looking at over $30,000 a month.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of discussion, a lot of stuff going on right now, and I don't think, I don't think we should sit here and spend hours of preparation that we could have done prior to talking about it and trying to figure
We
out
don't have a
something.
contract right now
Well,
as of
that-
till the end of
yes.
the month.
So I don't want, so what are our options to have residents have trash pickup and take a minute, take a couple weeks to figure out what's the best way to go?
Well, I mean,
7 days.
As we sit today, you got 7 days left on the existing contract. You could go back to Amwaste and see if you could propose to them, give them the $4 increase for a short period of time to give you more time to decide what you want to do in terms of passing on a cost increase to residents. That's an option, but that's dependent upon, Amwaste agreeing to that.
Well, it look like Amway, Waste working with us right now, if they willing to let
Yeah, I mean, they're
the
fair.
new
I
company.
don't want to put
Yeah, if
government
they-
on the spot
yeah.
tonight. But that would take, my.
So okay, so we got 7 days. After this meeting, they talk, y'all talk, and they say they're not doing it, we're under track. So what do we do at that point? What are our options?
You have nobody to pick up
an
garbage. You have to do
emergency
some
meeting.
kind of
Exactly.
emergency.
Yeah.
You'd have
Okay,
to-
well, that's,
Emer-
we'll
a
have an
special
emergency
meeting.
meeting. All right.
We have a hard time scheduling those sometimes.
Ah, but look like we always have special meetings all the time, so I'm used to them now.
Frank DiVittorio, 1 Norbrook Circle. I just had a question. This contract was scheduled to last another year or two.
2024.
So and it was terminated by mutual agreement.
Yes.
So there was a mutual agreement made to terminate this contract 1 week after this meeting without having a new one in place.
There were discussions, but the new one was not yet fully negotiated by the time the first one was terminated.
Right.
Correct.
And so, but somebody made a decision to agree to terminate the current contract
Yes.
before they put in place a new contract
Before the new one was fully negotiated, correct.
or approved.
Or approved, correct.
So had they sat there and said, council, we have a problem. Can't get our garbage picked up. Company wants an increase. Here are some options. They could have come to the council meeting, discussed these options, said, do y'all want to terminate this meeting? Do you want us to put out proposals? Going through the process of having something in place before terminating the existing contract and not putting the council members in the position where they have a 2-day deadline, sign the contract now, or we're stuck with garbage in the streets.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, and I don't like that. It seems like a more of an admission. It seems like
Be a $275 an hour pickup, and the garbage would be picked up on an emergency basis until something happens. The bottom line is, you have a company that wasn't serving us properly and wanted an increase.
But you terminated the
unacceptable.
contract, you terminated the contract before we had a new contract.
They didn't want to go to terms as well.
They may not have
So
wanted
we
to,
have
but
a
you had contract.
contingency plan.
You had a contract. You had a contract in place that you voluntarily terminated before you had a new contract approved, or even had an option to.
Well, we have a plan in place in case we don't. And we surely do have one ready to go.
So you terminated the contract before you had a new plan in place.
With a contingency plan in place, yes.
So that's how y'all got this.
Andre, is it any way that we can make a motion to table this?
I mean, you can decide whatever you want to do. You can approve it, not approve it, table it. However, those are all options available.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like an administration issue now we got left with as a council. So, that once again, rushing big decisions. But I make a motion to table.
To have public comment.
I mean, we've been here for a while. I mean, any public comment on this?
I was going to ask the president to call. Go ahead.
Usually,
You can do it.
You usually step in, Carly. I guess you missed your seat, so I said it this time. So,
Any other public comment?
Oh, look at that.
I'm Beverly Banks. I live on 109 Lizzie Watts Lane. And I was just listening to y'all speak between one to another on this issue about the garbage. disposal. I'm one of those people that fix income. And I think what y'all doing, every month I look at my bill, it's going higher and higher. It's the garbage and the sewage. So y'all want to sit here and discuss about, you want a new one, we already have one, and then you want to jump up and get into another and you haven't even decided whether you done got the new one yet, then our garbage won't be picked up. Because this young man, if you done terminate him, he cannot pick up garbage. So I don't think y'all should be rushing. If y'all haven't come together and spoke on this issue together as one, it shouldn't be nobody in here saying, this is the company we're gonna take. Because you're not taking in consideration of us as taxpayer. Our bill's going up every month. I'm on fixed income, I worked. I just retired and disabled. And being another high bill and sewage and garbage, I don't think so. We're having a time as it is with lights, gas, food, and I don't think y'all doing the right thing is making a decision on this and y'all really haven't sorted it out yet. I think y'all usually take y'all time and see what the issue is in these garbage exposed. And think of people that you might work and get paid it. I can't, because I'm on fixed income now. And I thank God for the fixed income. But I think you just need to stop, get together, and make a decision on this here, because I don't think it's right if y'all just jump up and vote. And Devon, he don't even know what it's all about. So, hey, if y'all can't come together and make a decision on this together, ain't no use in y'all sitting on these chairs, benches, because we sitting out here listening to y'all. And I'm like, how you say he's terminated, you haven't picked these yet. They haven't choose who they going. And then what they're making us confused. I'm like, I'm very confused. I'm very highly upset, because you're going to switch over, and that's going to increase our money, more money coming out of our check.
Thank you, Ms.
So
Bell.
I think y'all need to get
Thank you,
together.
thank you. And I'm glad Ms. Bell come up here, and I can say this here. We had an issue on their street, and it's just me. Called Mr. Carlos, and they came out and did it, and it wasn't Mr. Carlos' issue. It was really debris from the storm, and they know what I'm talking about. And they straightened it up. Then one time, I'm glad you came up here, Ms. Bell. One time, she even paid somebody to come get the debris off the street. She paid this out of her own pocket. And see that when I talk like this here, you know, y'all make it seem like something wrong with me, but it's nothing wrong with me. I know how my community is struggling. I know the needs. I know the want for the area. So when I ask for stuff, I'm not asking for Devon. I'm asking for the community, and they know that. So I'm gonna say it again. I would like to make a motion to table this item.
Respectfully, Ms. Bell, this contract's been worked on for a month with the attorneys. It's going to go up regardless. You have a company that wants to go up $2 and even said they're not going to make money, they're just doing it to hold on to it. So that means the contract's going to go up where it's eventually going to be. The service is there. We will not be without service. And that's what it's here tonight for, is to vote on it. Yay or nay?
If I could, I just want to say, we have been working with the mayor's office on this and very diligently, but I just wanted to share, you're talking about being good stewards, some of the other bids that have happened, they're public record, in the last 3 months in this area. Denham Springs, Waste Management's price was $27.66 a household. Republic's price was $48.75 a household. Ours was $19.68. For Abita Springs, Coastal's price was $23.70. That's only once a week pickup, and our price was $25. So, I mean, it's. The mayor has done a great job, and we have been working this out.
But you see how you did that? You see how you did that?
Community.
You see how you just did that? It'd have been nice if we'd have known that, too, so when we're looking at things, before tonight. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
I
you
just wanted
do-
to share with you
yeah.
so you know what's out
Yeah.
there.
Like all these prices, that you just shout out. I mean, I didn't know any about the price. I know what we're paying right now today because we had a contract. That's what we all know.
Right.
So we didn't know, we didn't go shop out a price because we're in contract for 4 years with this company. So, there was a change just because, whenever y'all had discussions, when I go home and my phone rings, I'm a councilman of District 4. So whenever people call me asking questions about it afterwards, all hours of the night, I got to answer all those questions. So, and why I voted this way, why I voted that way. So it'd be good to know what's going on about the decision that are being made. I think it would be smart for the councilman to be aware of what's going on.
That's what I was giving you, information that's out there.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, so much.
How long would it take to get figures on what the new increase would be?
Cool, yes.
You talking about to the residents?
Yes.
Are you talking about to the residents, or you're talking about if you went out for
No, I'm talking about
RFP?
to the residents.
That's up to what, that's up to what we want to discuss in terms of possible rate increases and all that kind of stuff. Like, you would have to make some sort of notification about the rate increase. I'm sure you'd want to get feedback on that. You need to come close to covering your costs unless the city wants to subsidize garbage collection.
Yes.
Anybody else?
I'm gonna second the motion to table it.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Introduction of ordinance and set for public hearing. Introduction of ordinance number 1.
Introduction of an ordinance to approve rezoning request by Meshach F. Samuels, owner, to rezone 0.313 acres of land from RS-3 to MX-N located at 1102 North Cherry Street per survey by William Bodine, PLS, dated 2/8/2022, zoned RS-3, Z-2022-04-00107, Lacey Landrum.
This is a familiar case. It is back before you. It was referred back to Planning and Zoning, and so they met and reviewed Mr. Samuel's request. If you'll remember, he is seeking to rezone this property, which is currently zoned RS3, into a place that he can use for his car lot. When the Planning and Zoning Commission considered this, you'll see on the second page of the report that is attached, actually towards the bottom of the first page, they had some discussion about this, and Meshach Samuel was a part of that, and we had lots of discussion about what that car lot would look like in terms of fencing, screened fencing, in terms of the number of vehicles that might be there, in terms of making sure that it was going to be a better fit in terms of what he was proposing. And so what the recommendation that came back from the Planning and Zoning Commission was to do an expanded conditional use, which means it stays only with Mr. Samuel while he owns that property. So the rezoning does not carry forward permanently. It stays with him while he owns the property. This is similar to what you do many times when a mobile home is placed in an area that it is not necessarily designated for mobile homes. They put some additional conditions on that. Again, it's on the report that you have available there. First, that he would be the only one that it would apply to. Second, that there would be a limit of 10 vehicles for sale at a time. Third, that there would be no mechanic work done on the premises. So it's not a car repair shop, it's just a for sale shop. Fourth, that the vehicles are to be stored behind a fence that would provide some sort of screening. That the fence would be four-sided with that screening. Number 6, that he would obtain a state sales license that relates to the selling of the vehicles. And then number 7, that the building and the parking would also comply with ADA regulations, which is what he would do normally anyway through the process. So those are the things that came out of that meeting as a recommendation. He is here tonight to speak about his project if you would like to hear from him. This is for introduction, and he's aware that tonight it would be potentially introduced, and then there would be a public hearing at the next meeting for more discussion on September 13th.
I want to just clarify, it says that there's only 10 vehicles for sale at a time and that there be a fence with screening. Is that screening that can't be seen through?
Correct.
So what's the point of a car sale lot if people can't see the vehicles on the lot?
So there, go ahead.
He said he does it by appointment only. So
Okay.
that was, at first, everyone's thought. That was curious like you, but it's by appointment only. And it would also take care of the residents who don't want to see it. And apparently, no more than 10 cars on the property.
Who is the, who's going to enforce this? Who's going to be out there making sure there's not more than 10 vehicles? It seems like this is an enforcement issue, could be an enforcement issue. I'm not saying he's not going to do what he's saying, but was that discussed? Who's going to make sure there's no mechanic work? Who's make sure there's not 11 cars instead of 10?
It would be the same as code enforcement.
Well, I mean, I have the same issues on issues throughout my district that, you know, I mean, counting cars. I mean, you know, we got so many code enforcement issues right now that we're dealing with all over my district. So, I mean, you know, I mean, Andre, is this spot zoning?
I mean, I'll look at it. I think it's a, I mean, Sam, I've not looked at it.
Okay.
You know if it's spot.
Yeah, I know it keeps coming up, so
I'm gonna say this here. Let's not compare this to a mobile home. Cause when they go before the planning and zoning, they have to have it's an emergency why they need a mobile home. So we're not gonna compare the two. Cause
hardship, yeah.
yes,
Hardship.
and it's not the same. So unless this a hardship, is different. But we're not gonna compare it to for somebody needing somewhere to stay versus a car lot. So that what you picked out, a mobile home, we're not gonna say that because that's not a good comparison. Because when people come before me talking about a mobile home, they truly need somewhere to stay when they say that and when they come to me.
I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that. I was comparing it to that because that's exactly what the council votes on when you place a mobile home in an area that is not designated for mobile homes. So if you'll look back at what a lot of the council decisions have been, it's that it's an expanded conditional use of that specific lot. And it's only granted to that person. It doesn't transfer to another person. They can't rent it or sell it to somebody else. It stays with that person. And the only way that it could continue if the lot was sold or if the mobile home, you know, that person moved away, is if the next person who wanted to take that mobile home and live in that mobile home came before you and asked that same permission. So that's why I'm comparing it to that, because it is the exact same type of thing. You are only granting this man that privilege. It would not carry to another owner. It is not a permanent rezoning, so to speak, of that lot.
So what's the hardship here?
The mobile home is not done with a hardship.
It's
It's
I mean,
done as
usually,
an expanded conditional use. It's not a hardship that's presented.
what's the hardship on this item we're talking about? I'm not talking about the mobile home. I'm talking about this here.
This was not a hardship.
Okay.
This is something that was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it was discussed by them. He had purchased this land. He found out that he could not use it the same way that he proposed, and so he's asking for a different way to propose to use the lot.
I'll say this because this is in my actual district. I'm gonna go ahead and let it go through the process of being introduced, but I will go on the record tonight stating that I'm not for this because it is going into a residential area. I don't care how it actually is being presented on the paper, being fenced in or anything like that. It's still going in between two houses. And
Thank you, President.
I just don't feel comfortable with it personally. Nothing against the owner of the property or anything like that. I'm just putting it straight out there on the record. I have had one complaint about it from a resident, and to let it go through the proper process, I'll go ahead for it to be introduced, but I'm stating it publicly on the record. I'm totally against it.
Thank you, President. And what I like about this here, that this is in President Kip district. And so if anybody have anything to say, and that's why I said for the record, I wanted to make sure we're not gonna compare this to a mobile home. You know, when they come with a mobile home, it be for hardship. That's what they always told me in planning and zoning. But I see now it's something different. But thank you for saying that. And anytime something, just my opinion, anytime we dealing with something that's in a councilman district, we need to know how that councilman feel, because I can't tell you what his constituent was looking for over there. I can tell you what my constituent was looking for. So thank you for putting that on the record.
Make a motion to introduce.
Second.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
No.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Public hearing will be scheduled for Tuesday, September 13th at 5:30 PM.
Introduction of orders number 2.
Introduction of an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2022 through 2023 budget to transfer $66,107 from the general fund 100 balance to general administration 1001580 for the funding of nonprofit partners. Councilman Wells.
Thank you. What we had took this out the administration had turned it over to us, and what we did, we turned it over to a committee. And what the committee recommended, we didn't give them no budget. It looked like they went over our budget that we did have. So that's why I'm bringing this up, because even one of the council person even mentioned, let's do the transfer. And so I'm based on what I heard from the last council meeting. So that's what I was looking at on doing. So the committee that we had picked, it was recommend, I went to the meeting, that we just can transfer out the budget $66,107. So look like the committee we picked, they turned around and ended up throwing it back on us. So
They did.
yes. So now we back at, I'm gonna say, back to 8.
So this 66,000, is this going to be given across the board?
No, it's
Being
just,
added to a $225,000 budget that you gave the committee, so the 66,000 is going to be given to who?
it was just put into the
It's a
fund,
nonprofit.
the nonprofit fund.
And then you're going to start.
And then we would
what you're gonna
vote
give?
on, I presume, Councilman Wells, then
Yeah.
we would vote on how to award the money. I think this was, the point of this was to fund it with sufficient funds to give the committee's recommendations.
Because we had already increased the nonprofit already when we had the budget meeting. And so looked like we didn't tell our committees on what we was doing. So, and then it come from what, Mike Williams, who sat there and said, for what everybody asks for, give it to them. So this come from a ex-councilman that been up here, what, 12 years, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he wasn't the ones who said it.
I think we gave a budget. You know, to work off of, and the proposals were sent back to us over budget. I mean, the recommendation. So, I mean, it would have been nice to have a recommendation that was within budget, and then a recommendation that just gave everybody what they wanted and how much funds were needed. So, you know, I mean, we gave them, you know, we didn't give them much structure because they had no structure before our time up here, but we did give them a budget to work on. So, you know, and that budget was actually increased by 23% from last year's budget to go to nonprofit organizations. So, we're cutting one organization down 10,000. We're going up on other organizations. There's no direction, no vision, no nothing. So then next year we'll come up, try to take away from somebody, and they're not going to like it. I mean, it's just there's nothing, there's no direction here, I don't think. And if somebody's asked for money, I think they should be happy with whatever they're getting if they weren't getting anything beforehand. And you know, I know I wouldn't turn anybody down if they were trying to donate to my organization. So, and I think they all would be happy if I had a guess within budget. I mean, so.
So again, it'll be back on us. If we stick within the budget, we would have to be the one that pick and basically determine the amounts.
Well, I guess we can tell I mean, y'all can do whatever. I mean, we can tell the board that we appointed to give us an option within budget. An option within budget. I mean, doesn't mean that y'all don't, you know, we can't amend it or whatnot and do something else. But I mean, it would be nice to have one with a budget. I mean, an option. I mean, my thought process, but I mean.
Yeah, I think
just
my
one.
understanding was that they understand that they're done with this year's recommendations.
Right.
So I'm just saying, giving it back to them, I don't think is an option that they think would happen. So I agree with your statement that it would be up to us to determine if it's going to be within budget, what the amounts are.
Well, I'm looking for the 66,000. That's what I'm looking for.
Make a motion.
You gonna ask the public?
Anyone from the public have a comment on this introduction?
I'll just add a point of reference. So the council does all have the applications as they were submitted to the committee. You also have the summary of the spreadsheet about how they were funded in the past 2 years versus their ask for the current year. And that is totaled to show you the difference to the budget so that you have the same information and can work from that same information.
Any other question from anyone on the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to introduce. That's it.
So, Council President, you can declare the motion then dies for lack of a second, is how they would.
Well, this motion died for a lack of a second. Reports.
Hot August nights will be Friday, 5:30 to 10. Come out with your family and friends and enjoy. Hopefully the weather will allow us to have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, President. Bayup now from the district, they have something they want to talk about, a speed bump. Bayup, you want to come up? One of y'all want to come up? please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bobby Cade. I live on 103 Lizzie Watts Lane, right off 1403 Palmetto Street. I would like to bring this issue up about getting speed bumps for Palmetto Street. We have cars, motorcycles, four-wheelers. I mean, they just come down through there just speeding all the time. This is every day. We have children, and I know that if one of those cars or motorcycle, whatever, hit one of them, you know, it's going to kill them. So we're asking to get some speed bumps on Palmetto Street.
And Lizzie Watts.
And Lizzie Watts Lane. So if you can, 35 years ago, I sat on my auntie porch, and she and I saw a 2-year-old baby got killed right there on Palmetto Street. So I wouldn't want to ever sit and see anything like that ever again with nobody's child. So I'm asking you all, if y'all can, could you put some speed bumps down that way? Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a process for that, you realize that.
Steve.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Steve.
Councilman, I'm just asking, because I got several in my district that I'm working on right now.
Okay, well, you explain the process to me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
You can you can ask Dory to download the form
It's on the website.
on the website, or you can get it from
Come explain it. Yeah, explain
or you
it.
can
Yeah,
get it from the website. I'm just saying, either way. And then wherever you want the speed bump, if I forget her name, I'm sorry, but if she wants to take that form, go to the neighbors, it's where the speed bump's going to affect the street. You get those signatures. You decide as a neighborhood or as a street where the speed bump's going to be, because the person that the speed bump's in front of, that person has to agree that the speed bump will be in front of their home. Then once all the paperwork's submitted, then you submit it to the administration, and they have to sign off on it, and it goes up the process.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Leon, for that information. But this what goes on in my district, and I know you're not aware of it. The people in my district have to come to the council meeting in order to get something done. That form you're talking about, the secretary done gave me 10 of them. So I know about the form, but I wanted to hear it from you. And now the people in my district get to see how the process works, but it's not always that easy when it comes to District 3. So I prefer them to come up and say what they want, where it won't make it seem like Councilman Wells asking for this, Councilman Wells asking for that. So now that we know how the process work in your district, so now we're gonna hopefully work like that in our district. When they gonna put your speed bump down?
I've had a couple of them put down, and I'm working on another one. And I'm not doing that. The residents in my district do that.
Yeah,
Just asking
yeah.
for
No,
guidance.
I know how the process works,
Okay.
but I thank you, that now we know that we can go to the secretary and get a form and get it filled out, go through the neighborhood and let them fill the sheet out. And we'll get a speed bump. Thank you so much. See, you can learn a lot when you just listen.
All right, I wanted, lights update as far as, Rue de la Paix, Rue St. Martin. There's a few, still out.
Everything's done in Bill West except those 2 underground bores that need to be done on the back end. All the other lights are working. The one in front of the old Swagman's dirt cheap.
The Roma Avenue, the line, the street of them, and a few down, Nita Boulevard.
Working on those now. Rain has been hurting us. We also picked up a contractor that's going to come in and help us.
So we did that's what I was going to ask
Finally have
next.
someone coming in, but I don't know what the rain's going to do tomorrow. They were actually going to start with us tomorrow.
They
and work with Mike.
bid it out, or did y'all bid it out, or
No, it
what
was a
happened?
contractor we have on our list.
Who is
that
the
works for
contractor?
us. Tangi.
Tangi, okay. All right, that's good. And then,
They're going to work with Mike tomorrow and try to line some things up.
Okay, so Route
As
St.
location.
Yeah, Route St. Martin Corner, been asking about, that's been out for several years, but it's been brought up here in the last 6 months, that corner light, and the 3 on Rue de la Paix, or, well, no, actually, it's a whole line on Rue de la Paix. Do we know if those are
That's the boring.
the boring? Okay, and that's,
They've located apparently where they're gonna do it, waiting on energy to come in and take care of that, and then
we
we'll
have
get
an
them lit up.
estimate, besides the rain, if the rain, I mean, it's a couple more weeks, is it next in line, or?
Well, it's definitely the next thing that they need to do as far as boring goes, as far as we're concerned.
Okay, so the contracts are already got one, that's good. Now, been getting some calls on the gutter drains around the streets, where the water drains in some subdivisions, they filled with grass and drains, and the water's not going throughout large areas. Is that Whitney's department, or
No,
is that
that's
Robert's
Robert
department?
Williams. Give us the
Okay.
addresses, and we'll get Robert to get on that.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Oh, and buggies, a lot of buggies in off of Hardin Drive, Anderson. I don't know, I think y'all sent me an email about that's code enforcement or
No,
Whitney?
That's Whitney.
Okay,
They
all
pick
right.
those up regularly.
All right, well, that, they were emailing me, texting me about it earlier today. There's more buggies over there that keeps piling up, and the demo list. What we doing with the demo list? Because there's a house on Anderson that's been on it for a little while now, fourplex. Do we have, is that coming to us? You know, next
That's a
week?
Robert question, Bobby question, so we'll
Okay.
get with that.
I
That's just
talked
during
to
the
him
week,
last
and we could
time.
ask him.
Talked to him last time, and he said it was coming up probably next meeting or so. That was 2 meetings ago, so I'm just trying to figure out, you know, is it coming pretty close? It's Anderson Street. I don't know the exact number, but it's fourplex, boarded up, falling down.
Any other council reports? Okay. Well, I'll be forwarding in some information on some ditches and stuff in my area that need to be addressed, so I'll CC you guys in on it as well.
Did we get the stump grinder in? I don't think so. I know we were waiting on it.
Your mic is off. Your mic is off.
I've said some things to Lacey. Lacey, I appreciate y'all that you've done to kind of work through some of those issues. At the entrance of Whitmore, and the only reason why I bring this up is because it seems to be kind of caught in the middle. I talked to Buddy. You know, they've resurfaced North Whitmore Drive. They've resurfaced Whitmore Drive a couple of times. Right there at the entrance, it seems to keep failing. And I know we've worked on it before. I think the city worked on it. The parish came back and worked on it. It's failed again. Buddy basically said, you know, they're done with it for now. They're
You're talking about past the gates. on the
right
end.
there. Yeah, it's
I
like a
saw
wash.
that
And you know, I know it's going to be a bigger project than it needs to be because I don't know why it keeps failing. But if we can smooth it out until we can figure out or work with the parish, but I know Buddy's done what he's going to be able to do with it.
I'll continue to send you my list by email instead of using the council reports.
Could I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Me-
Somebody second it.
Meeting is adjourned.